friends or family in, you may want to give them a call and tell them to turn on the news, pay attention, and get in their safe spot if that is one of the places that Chris has mentioned. Okay, in Virginia right now, we have about 8,200 people without power. That's just APCO customers. Most of those are going to be in deep southwest Virginia, so Tazewell, that area. Bedford has about 600 without power. Carroll, just 12. Franklin County, 475. That number has gone up, and that is one of the counties that we've watched this morning. So we are seeing power outages, possibly because of this storm. Henry County, 77 without power. Roanoke County, 256. Roanoke City, 32. But again, Russell County, that's not in our area, but that's where we're seeing 2,300, 2,700 in Tazewell County. So they, and we were watching that earlier, Chris, they were getting a lot of wind there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's as the actual storm, the overall front was moving through. So this is what's ahead of that. We may still have some wind to go, but yeah, so definitely good to know that you should have your phone charged just in case there's any other power outages. But just kind of resetting here, you have this tornado warning for the next 25 minutes in eastern Franklin County. All right, so we'll go ahead and show you the velocity. This is the key thing that we have to look at when we're tracking these storms. We have some limitations when it comes to tracking tornadic or potentially tornadic storms, but this is the best tool that we can use. And you can still see that the rotation is there. Scans are going to look different. And what I mean by scans is updates from the radar. So every few minutes you get an update or a scan. The one before this looked stronger than what it is right now, but there's still rotation. Remember, the green, the southeast to northwest, the red is the northwest to southeast. Flood advisory for Carroll County was just canceled, by the way. And let's see. Okay, so that's one of the only updates I was getting on my watch. So we're getting towards Sontag Road, okay? So you know how on 220 you can pull off Sontag Road. There's the gas station. There's Doe Run Road nearby. Do want you to be in your safe spot because it's heading in that direction at about 25 miles per hour. So this is not streaming. If you remember, again, not to try and compare, we're really comparing apples to oranges here, but the storm that happened in 2019 in this area was moving so much quicker, okay? That's part of what made it as strong as what it was. But the National Weather Service is saying that this particular storm is moving at about 25 to occasionally 30 miles per hour. So we'll take it from the core, the center of rotation. We'll move it out for about another 30 minutes or so. And you see areas like Dickinson, Sontag, Snow Creek between about 6:30 and 6:35. So there's no need to panic. You've got time to plan, but I want you to keep watching this, whether it's on your TV, whether it's on your phone, because we're streaming right now on our weather app and also on WSLS.com. But you have time to kind of monitor this along with us. So areas like Glade Hill, Union Hall, between 6:35 and 6:45 is when I expect the core of the rotation to be nearest you, okay? So we'll go down to a more local level, really zoom in here and see where exactly this is headed. We'll read off some road names for you. And so this latest scan or update is showing the green to be brighter than the red. So what this means is that the air flowing into the storm is stronger than the air flowing out of it. So what we would hope for is that this would eventually become what's called inflow dominant, okay? And so it would just kind of peter out and become basically a straight windy storm, okay? But I can't necessarily say that that's going to happen because rotating thunderstorms are a lot like us. They breathe in, they breathe out. They breathe in, they breathe out. And as they do so, they go through constant changes, which is why we're still talking about this storm, even, 20 some odd minutes later after they issued the warning. So it's right over Bowie Lane right now. That's where we see that rotation. This is east of Fork Mountain Road. This is just to the east of US 220. Oak Level, Martinsville, you're safe. In Rocky Mount, I think you're safe as well because this is doing that right curve that I was telling you guys about, that this is continuing to move to the north and to the east. But McNeil Mill Road need to be watching out as well. We'll also take you up north toward Goose Dam Road, towards Sontag Road, okay? So there's the core of the rotation. Here's Sherman Lane. This is to the east of Briar Patch Drive and again, east of US 220. But if you're around Tom's Knob, Sontag Road, Goose Dam Road. Need to be watching this one pretty closely. So there you have the center of rotation. I'm going to show you just how far away it is from Sontag Road. So this could be another 15-20 minutes before it gets to Sontag. In areas like Sontag Elementary, right? You're off of 220. You're farther away from that gas station right at the intersection of 220 and Sontag Road. So time now is about 6:10. I'm not sure what time buses start rolling or anything like that, but if there's anybody from Franklin County Schools watching or any administration from Sontag Elementary, this is something we're going to need to keep a close eye on here as we go through the next little bit. Latest update still shows that rotation, but it is mostly what I was talking about before, a little more inflow dominant. But I do want to see if this has a history of producing any damage, at least from radar. And again, this debris tracker, forget the fanciness up there. This debris tracker, thankfully, is not showing anything really earth-shattering to me. I'm not seeing what's called a tornado debris signature. Also, getting an update from the National Weather Service, watching the southern storm getting closer to the bulk of wind shear, which may make it do what the current storm in Virginia is doing. Okay, so what I was talking about before, I'll back this up a little bit, is the storm in North Carolina that's right now on the Henry County line. That is showing some signs of rotation and may follow a similar path to the storm that's currently tornado warned. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's just an update from the National Weather Service that I was getting here over the past few minutes. We'll back things up a little bit, and I'll show you guys the home view. Again, if you're in the New River Valley, if you're in the Roanoke Valley, if you're in the Highlands, your severe weather, your damaging weather threat today is going to be quite low. It's really along into the east of US 220, something that we've told you since yesterday. That's where our threat for severe weather is going to be through about the middle of the day. So if you're in Blacksburg, yeah, it's raining right now, but you don't have to worry about anything tornadic. Wytheville, Hillsville, Pulaski, Giles, Bland, Floyd, Roanoke County, Craig County, Allegheny, Bath, Highland, you're going to see some rain today. You may see some localized flooding because of how much rain you've seen in recent days. But as far as anything damaging or potentially tornadic, that's going to be along into the east of US 220. So Rocky Mount, Smith Mountain Lake, Bedford, Madison Heights, Lynchburg, Campbell County, Pittsylvania, and Halifax counties, you need to be more weather aware today, and that's about through the first half of the day. So let's pull up velocity here, see how things are looking as far as potentially rotating thunderstorms. And again, there's two storms in particular that we're keeping an eye on, one of which has the tornado warning on it. That's the one that's in Franklin County. This one that's moving into southern Henry County toward areas like Horse Pasture, potentially toward downtown Martinsville, and also toward Ridgeway. It doesn't have a tornado warning on it just yet, but it could potentially have one issued, especially after hearing that update about 4 minutes ago from the National Weather Service. I'll show you where the latest warnings are. There's only one, and that is in eastern Franklin County. Flood advisory continues for Patrick County. I'll take that off the map just to kind of declutter so that we're not getting totally confused out there. Okay, so yeah, the tornado warning still has northern Henry County. You're safe from this particular storm. Okay, so areas like Figsboro, you don't completely let your guard down, but this warning is not necessarily for you anymore. It's really for areas like Dickinson, Snow Creek, Sontag, and Sidnersville in eastern Franklin County. So we'll pull up the velocity, and there we have it again. As I was telling you guys, it goes through these cycles. So there were a few updates, a few scans where it didn't really look all that impressive. But now you do see a little bit of tighter circulation just to the south and west of Sontag Road. This is just east of US 220. We're going to zoom in a little bit closer to that. So here's Sontag Road, here's Goose Dam Road, here's Taylor Tyree Road. You got Colonial Turnpike, Chestnut Mountain Road, Tom's Knob Road. This is where we need to be watching this storm pretty closely because you do again see that green. It's a little brighter, so it's indicating some stronger winds, at least going from southeast to northwest. And then you've also got the red component there indicating that there is some kind of backlash to it. So it's estimating about 45 to 50 mile per hour winds. Again, that may not sound like much. That's above the surface. There could be a little more spinning that's going on beneath the surface. Just got another update from the National Weather Service. They're continuing this tornado warning for the next 16 to 17 minutes. So this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. So it's not yet been confirmed. This is a radar indicated tornado. And of course, the chat room just went blank on me, but it said near Sidnersville, moving at a pace of about 35 miles per hour. So it is moving. Occasionally it'll slow down and then it'll speed up again. But that's just kind of what these things do. So I'll fix that within our settings here and make sure that we get the most accurate timing and things of that nature. Guys, we don't have any reports of damage from viewers or anything?
We don't. I do see around Boone's Mill, that's where all the power outages are. Is that part of where you're talking about?
That's not part of this particular storm, but I mean, no doubt they're getting poured on right now.
Right, and wind and things like
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
So yeah, that start time for outages started around 5:41, which is around the time that you went on the air
Yes,
for this tornado warning.
But you know what, that's a good point, because these storms are capable of producing power outages, all the more reason to have your phone charged. I'm sorry, keep going, Jenna.
Oh, that's okay.
Yep.
So yeah, Boone's Mill, you're seeing some power outages. There are a total of, let's see, I don't think we've really seen the power outage numbers tick up that much, about 8,300, with some of those in Franklin County. Those numbers are starting to go up though. Now we're about 500 in Franklin County, which has increased from the last update we had. So yeah, and again, if you are just joining us and Chris mentions a spot where you have family or friends that may still be sleeping, please give them a call. Let them know that they need to be watching the news so that they can get in their safe spot if needed, because we still have about 15 minutes left in this tornado warning.
Yeah, and you know, it's not enough to just be like, I'm going to pull up the random map on my phone. You know, these are the situations where you need to be paying close attention to the details, right? The things that we're telling you guys, because these things they're changing every second, you know? And the power outages that you've been keeping an eye on, they're a result of, and you can kind of see here, if we can switch to camera 3, you see how there's this west to east momentum. That's the wind that's carrying the rain a little bit. So that's outside of the tornado warning, but that wind is what's caused the bulk of the power outages that we've seen in parts of Tazewell, Russell counties. This could be something that we see the numbers tick up in Bland and Giles counties here in a little bit. So no, that's not a tornado. It's not a tornado-warned storm, but it is some gusty wind, and it goes to show the wind that these storms are feeding off of and why some of them east of US 220 are beginning to rotate, hence the tornado warning that's in effect until 6:30 this morning. Again, that's for the next 14 minutes or so in eastern Franklin County, specifically around areas like Sontag. So there you have a little bit of lightning with it, not a ton, but it's a sign that this storm is going through its process of strengthening and weakening and strengthening and weakening. So at the moment, or within the past few minutes, we've seen the lightning count tick up a little bit. We do continue to see a little bit of rotation in it. It is a little bit weaker this time, but again, keep in mind that these things go through some cycles. I will say that as it heads to the north, just kind of doing a little bit of analysis on the fly here, as it goes to the north, it's moving into an area that's a little bit less conducive for rotating or severe thunderstorms. So that's hopefully a sign of encouragement. Don't want to necessarily let our guards down completely, but that is at least something that I'm keeping an eye on and keeping my fingers crossed on as well. But there's still a little bit of chatter going on in the National Weather Service chat room about this particular storm right around Horse Pasture Price Road and also around Chestnut Knob Road. This is to the west of Martinsville. We're having a little bit of trouble with our Martinsville Skycam right now. Otherwise, we would try to provide you with a view of that. But just after sunrise here on this Friday morning, yeah, the rotation with that is not incredibly strong. So hoping that continues to be the case. Hopefully the atmosphere has been worked over a little bit by previous storms, but still have the tornado warning until 6:30 this morning for eastern Franklin County. Again, I'll take the velocity scan here, which this is the inbound wind, this is the outbound, so there's very little rotation now. My hope is that we can get another scan that shows this weakening and that the warning would be allowed to expire, which if that were to be the case, we would continue on with the newscast as normal. But if not, if they were to continue this tornado warning even further, we would continue to provide you with this continuous coverage. Again, another thing that we'll keep an eye on or keep track of is whether or not there's any indication of damage. I do see some different colors right here. That doesn't look to be a tornado debris signature, but it could actually be a sign of maybe some hail getting getting into the way of this storm. So I'll pick out, yeah, and actually looking at the raindrop size, we saw this with the Wythe County storm not long ago, that you've got a little bit of this red right here. Also a tornado watch now being issued for different parts of the area. So I'm going to try and pull that up and see. The banner is going to be incorrect because it's from a previous storm, but there's a tornado watch that was just issued until 1 p.m. for different parts of the area. So we'll pull that up in just a minute for you guys. Okay, so you see this is, I'm pulling up the graphic, I'm editing it as we speak. This is until, not 1 p.m., excuse me, but until 2 p.m. So a watch means that something is possible. Warning means that something is likely. So for those of us in these yellow shaded counties, and we'll point those out to you, this is just literally just within the past few seconds. Henry, Franklin, Bedford, Amherst, Nelson, Campbell, Appomattox, Charlotte, Halifax, Pittsylvania counties, including the cities of Martinsville, Danville, and Lynchburg, you have this tornado watch until 2 p.m. So again, if you want to think about it in the most simple way possible, a watch means you have the ingredients. A warning means you have the finished product. So a watch, there you have it. We have the flour, we've got the sugar, we've got the butter, we've got the eggs. The warning means we have the cookie. The cookie is cooking, okay? So that is when you take action. The watch is when you prepare just in case. So again, the watch is what's in effect for a number of counties right now. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to seek shelter everywhere. The warning is what's in effect for eastern Franklin County. And in fact, as we continue to look at this storm, it is more and more disheveled here. We'll go over the past 30 minutes and we'll show you just how this has kind of changed. And we'll back up the view a little bit and see what the overall trend has been, if it continues to weaken or if it's just going through cycles. So there you saw when it was in northern Henry County. If you're looking just behind me and to your left, to my right. So you see that strong rotation from about 30 minutes ago, and it stayed pretty strong just east of US 220. And the farther north it goes, the more and more disheveled, the more and more broad it becomes. So my hope is, again, that the National Weather Service will expire or cancel this warning before its expiration time at 6:30, at which point, again, we could go into the regular newscast. But we also are keeping an eye on a storm that is south of that point. There we go. Okay, so this has actually really picked up, this storm around Chestnut Knob Road in southwestern Henry County. So I'm going to keep an eye on this storm in addition to the one that has the warning. This one doesn't technically have a warning to it, but it does show some signs of rotation. This last scan that came up looks to be fairly strong. So let me do the same thing. We'll go over the last 15 minutes just to see how this has changed. And okay, so they actually said they are going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible for this storm. Okay, so we should get that warning out in a little bit. So not a tornado warning for it. That could eventually be an upgrade, but for right now, they said they're going to go with a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. And if I were to imagine the polygon that they're going to draw for that, that's probably going to be for areas up through Martinsville, okay? So you're looking at Martinsville Speedway, Rives Road, Martinsville. You're probably going to have this severe thunderstorm warning. They haven't issued it just yet, but you do see the rotation with it. So they're saying a tornado is possible with this storm. So again, this is Henry County. This is just south of Horse Pasture. This is just south of Highway 58. This is just to the west of US 220. But we are still watching the storm that, again, at one point did have a tornado warning on it. It's right around Doe Run Road in eastern Franklin County, getting very close to Glade Hill. And it is much, much weaker than it was before. So just waiting on the final word from the National Weather Service as to whether or not they are going to cancel this warning. And so we'll go from there. But in the meantime, while I check on that, if we can just get an update from Jenna or Japhanie and see if any numbers have climbed in the last little bit with regard to power outages.
No, power outages remain steady right now. We're still looking at about 8,300 across Virginia from APCO. Let's see, Franklin County still holding steady at about 500. Henry County 90. Most of those are still going to be in deep southwest Virginia, out of our coverage area, in places like Russell and Tazewell counties. So that is some good news. However, as we always say, when people wake up, that's when they report their power outage. So we may see those numbers start to increase as the morning goes through. But right now, we're still holding steady with those power outages. But if you're watching, you may want to just charge your phone just in case, charge your tablets, whatever you have to charge.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just actually getting the official polygon from the National Weather Service on this severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to take out the tornado warning just to, there we go. So we've got it right there on your screen. This severe thunderstorm warning is capable of producing a tornado. They actually just continued the other tornado warning. So here's your severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible for parts of Henry County, and also right on the Pittsylvania and Henry County line just to the north of areas like Brosville. But I'm going to give you an update that just came in from the National Weather Service. So this now does include areas like Smith Mountain Lake, areas like Huddleston. You are now under a tornado warning until 7 o'clock this morning. So this is going to take us through the duration of our morning newscast of Virginia Today. So this is the new polygon that was just issued by the National Weather Service. So this does include parts of Highway 122. Looks to be just to the east of Wirtz, just to the east of Burnt Chimney in Franklin County, more like Westlake Corner, Smith Mountain Lake, just to the north of Highway 40. So they have continued this tornado warning until 7 o'clock. Their wording verbatim is that this is a severe thunderstorm that's capable of producing a tornado. It was located near Sontag, okay, like we've been talking about. And this is 7 miles east of Rocky Mount, moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So we'll pull up the velocity scan here. And what they're looking at is this little notch right here. So it's just about to cross Highway 40 in eastern Franklin County. So this is right over Glade Hill. And this is going to continue to move to the north and to the east. So if you're in Boonesville, if you're in Rocky Mount, you're not looking at anything tornadic, okay? But you have had some power outages reported in Boonesville because of the wind and because of the heavy rain that you've been seeing. As far as the other storm, pardon me, that we were tracking, the strong signature that we were watching in Henry County was something that's called range folding, or some sort of radar contamination. So it made it look worse than what it really was. So they decided to reissue the storm for the rest of Franklin and parts of Bedford County. But the other storm in Henry County doesn't look to be quite as strong as what radar was indicating. So that's the update from the National Weather Service. The latest update, again, if you're just joining us, we'll show you the latest warning. There we go. So right here in the red, that is your tornado warning until 7 o'clock this morning. And that is for areas just around Smith Mountain Lake, areas around Huddleston. This does not yet include the town of Bedford, but you're going to have to keep an eye on that. This is just to the east of Vinton, just to the southeast of Vinton, pardon me. This does not include the city of Roanoke. This doesn't include Clearbrook or anything like that. This is to the east of Boone's Mill. So we do have that tornado warning. And in addition to that, we have a tornado watch. So there's a very distinct difference between the two. Tornado watch means that there's the ingredients that a tornado could happen between now and 2 p.m. This is for the areas shaded in yellow, so this does include Henry, Franklin, and Bedford counties, but it also includes Amherst, Nelson, Appomattox, Campbell, Pittsylvania, Halifax, and Charlotte counties. So this is all in the yellow. Tornado watch means a tornado or two are possible up until about 2 p.m. Did just get an update on the tornado warning for Franklin County, okay? So let's go back to that, and I'll show you. So this red polygon right here. So Oak Level, Fork Mountain, areas like Sontag, you can rest for a little bit. So that warning is set to expire within the next 2 minutes. And because they said that they're going to expire it at this time, yeah, it's going to stay on the screen up until 6:30. This is the one that we need to keep an eye on, the one that's just north of Highway 40, right around Smith Mountain Lake, Highway 122 as well. So we'll keep an eye on the velocity there. We'll bring it a little bit farther to the north. Forgive the number that just showed up there. That was user error that time. So, okay, this is north of Glade Hill now. This is just near Union Hall. This is Brooks Mill Road, Simmons Creek Road, Tobacco Road, Longhorn Road. This is right on the Franklin and Bedford County line. So we have got, let's see, let's bring this out a little bit. We'll take it from the core of a little bit of that rotation. And since it's moving at about 35 miles per hour, let me check to just make sure that's correct in our settings, and it is. Okay, so we'll take the cone and we'll bring it out a little bit. That way you can see some time estimates for different places in parts of southern Bedford County. So if you're around Stanton River High, I want you to keep an eye on that, but really we're looking at areas that are just to the east of Highway 122. Because again, if you've been watching this morning, these storms, these supercells, these rotating thunderstorms, they'll start out on a path and then they'll kind of jerk to the right a little bit. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a huge concern for Stanton River High, but nonetheless, it's too close for comfort. So this is getting closer to Westlake Corner, probably around 6:45 or so. I would say a little bit sooner than that. I think this estimate is a little bit slow, but Union Hall here within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. And then if it gets closer to Stanton River High, that's going to be right at about 7:02. So right where you see that that intersection of what I believe is 122 and Highway 24, right around there, that's where we'll start to see things maybe around 7 o'clock this morning. So again, we continue to watch these latest scans that come in. Thankfully, the sun has risen. There's not much sunlight out there, but I still would not necessarily go trying to chase this thing, especially with how wooded this particular area is. And we'll also see if it picks up on the moisture at all from Smith Mountain Lake and it goes over the mountain, if it could potentially strengthen heading into Bedford County. That is something that we'll need to watch for. Now, they did just issue a tornado warning for the storm that is in Henry County. So we've now got 2 tornado warnings that are in effect. Let's break those down for you. The city of Martinsville is under that warning. These both go until 7 o'clock this morning. So here's Martinsville. You've got areas to the north and east of that. This is east of Oak Level, but you do notice Martinsville and then areas along Highway 57 in northeastern Henry County. You have a tornado warning now until 7 o'clock this morning. Let's pull up the velocity scan on that, which at this time is looking stronger than the storm that we see in Franklin and Bedford County. So this is right over Martinsville. This is just to the north of Martinsville Speedway. So if you're around Laurel Park, excuse me, Old Chatham Road, this is moving from southwest to northeast now, just north of the Speedway, right over downtown. So I would say that this is, this is just to the south of where you've got the ground floor, that new coffee shop in downtown. You've got that really cool arcade and everything. This looks like it is just south of that. Should be just south of Third Bay Cafe as well. So this is moving more toward Highway 58. Here's Spruce Street. Here's Old Chatham Road. You've got Stony Mountain Road. I need you guys to be in your safe spot this morning with the tornado warning that's in effect until 7 o'clock. We'll pull up another product here. We'll see how radar, the more conventional radar, is looking. We'll take off all the warnings there to get rid of all the clutter that you see. And what you look for is this little bit of a notch. And again, we're not really seeing that big epic hook that you see in the Great Plains. So it's not necessarily textbook, but they did say that the low level scan, so looking beneath, looking at the lower levels of the storm, that it was starting to tighten up near Martinsville. And so that's why they changed it to a tornado warning instead of just a severe thunderstorm warning. And as you go a little bit farther to the north, that's where the wind starts to spin and starts to change a little bit more. So that's why the tornado warning was issued. So we'll, just like the other storm, keep an eye on the latest scans and see what they reveal to us. But it doesn't look like the rotation is incredibly tight. But here's the other storm that we're watching now. that is just around Union Hall. So this is Crafts Ford Road and Burnt Chimney Road heading more toward North Shore. So again, as I've been saying all morning, you get these storms that they breathe in and they breathe out. And so as they cycle through, they weaken and they strengthen, and they weaken and they strengthen. So we've seen in the last scan that there's at least a little bit more rotation showing up around Union Hall and around Stanford Road. So Lovely Valley Road, North Shore, Scruggs Road. I'm trying to think, Scruggs Road, that's where you've got CJ's Coffee and Sandwich Shop right along that road. So there's the shopping center right there, and then you make the right onto Scruggs Road. Yeah, and so you've got the coffee shop right there. So this is an area that we need to watch very closely. Here's Scruggs. Here's the rotation that you've got right there on the Franklin-Bedford County line. So this is just around Smith Mountain Lake, okay? Areas like Jake's Place may need to be watching this as well as we're getting closer to North Shore and West Lake Corner. So again, you've got some rotation there. Overall, it's pretty broad. But there's still reason for the National Weather Service to believe that a tornado warning needed to continue for that particular storm. So I'll take you for both storms. They're both moving at about 35 miles per hour. And so we'll take a scan of that and show you guys where exactly they're moving to. So again, we'll take the core of the rotation right here. We'll move that to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. And this is indeed moving east of Stanton River High School. Okay, they're extending a flood watch. We'll get to that in a little bit. First things first, though. So Smith Mountain Lake, within about the next 5 to 10 minutes. So again, areas like Scruggs Road, you're going to need to be in your safe spot. Let's get to our lower levels of the house. Carry your phone with you because we are streaming right now on our weather app, on our news app, on WSLS.com. Okay, so make sure you have that with you. You've got areas like Casey and Davis Mill between 6:45 and 7 o'clock, and then toward Chestnut Fork. Areas like Forest and Timberlake, we'll keep an eye on those areas as well as they continue this tornado warning. So that's going to continue for a little bit. The tornado watch, again, they're reiterating that is in effect until 2 p.m. Let's go farther to the south and west, and let's head into Martinsville, okay? Just east of Martinsville, this storm 2 is moving at about 35 miles per hour, showing some signs of rotation right about there. We'll take that to the north and east for the next half hour. And this is right around Chatmoss, so Laurel Park, within the next 5 minutes is where we see the core of this rotation going over you. Leatherwood, we've got that at about 6:45 to 6:50, and then Grady between 6:55 and 7 o'clock. We'll pull out the view a little bit just so that we're not neglecting anybody right here, okay? We'll kind of include everybody in this. So especially east of 220, that's where you see the chance for severe weather, and that's where you see now the lightning count around Smith Mountain Lake has gone up. So this could potentially be an intensifying storm. It's just plain old rain for you today in the New River Valley, at least this morning. In the Roanoke Valley, same thing. Yeah, there's gusty wind, there's rain, could result in some power outages like we saw in Tazewell and Russell counties. That could also be the case in parts of the Highlands, but you do see the chance for anything stronger or severe. You see in those red shadings on the more conventional radar, that's an indication of the potential for some severe thunderstorms, 2 of which right now are currently rotating. One is right around Smith Mountain Lake. And I know we may have some folks who are visiting for the holiday weekend ahead of time, so do make sure that you're taking the necessary precautions here this morning. So that's a conventional radar. Here's the rotation. Okay, so just like I've been saying this morning, it's going through its cycles and it's starting to tighten up a little bit. So there we see that tightening of the rotation. So we'll go ahead and show you what exactly it is that we're talking about this morning. So the green is the air that's going from east to west, all right? So you've got that there. The red is the air that's going from west to east. So that's our sign of rotation that we've been tracking occasionally with this particular storm. So it's approaching Scruggs Road. There's Westlake Corner. There's Scruggs Road. So again, as you get closer to CJ's Coffee and Sandwich Shop, there's a big shopping center right there. Make sure that you're in the safest place possible as it gets toward the northwestern part of the lake. And it may actually, so here's the mountain range, and oftentimes when you have storms that are moving parallel to a mountain range, they can actually feed off of that, and they can actually strengthen. I saw that happen in 2011 in Camp Creek, Tennessee. That is something that happened to actually help the storm strengthen. So there's your core of rotation. We'll zoom in a little bit more. We'll show you some of the road names. That way you have a better idea as to where exactly this is headed. So here's Blue Water Drive. Here's Parkway Avenue. Isle of Pines Drive. So this is within the next few minutes. You've got the center of this rotation being very close to you. You've got White House Road just to the north and east as well. Fairview Church Road, Stone Mountain Road. We're now going into the Bedford County side of things, just north of Smith Mountain Lake, okay? So that's where this storm eventually is headed as it's moving at about 35 miles per hour. Let's go back to the other storm now. We'll take you back to Henry County, where there is a tornado warning. Both of these, mind you, are in effect until 7 a.m. So this one at one point showed a spike in rotation. It's not showing any strong rotation right now, but again, it could cycle in and out and perhaps turn strong at any certain point in time. This is east of downtown Martinsville, okay? So if you're in downtown Martinsville, you can at least breathe for a little bit. There's more storms coming in from the south, though, so do stay weather aware throughout the day today. Topaz Drive, Old Chatham Road, right? That's 57. That's Blue Knob Road. That's where this storm is moving currently. So they're continuing the tornado warning for that. They said there's also, they being the National Weather Service, saying there's the potential for some small hail. This is right over Laurel Park near Martinsville, moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour this morning. While we're keeping an eye on that, again, as in an effort to just kind of keep everybody in the know, right? We've got a tornado watch for areas in the yellow. Remember, there's a big difference between a watch and a warning. So a watch means something is possible. It means the ingredients are there. That's when you prepare in the event that you have a tornado warning. A warning means that something is likely or could happen within the next few minutes. With both of these tornado warnings that we have, that I'm going to show you guys, these are both radar indicated, so there's no confirmation of a tornado. However, these are radar indicated tornado warnings that you see in both of these red polygons until 7 o'clock this morning. So this is for the northeastern part of Henry County. This is for areas right around Chatmoss and moving along Old Chatham Road. You've also got Smith Mountain Lake. So Martinsville, Rocky Mount, you're not dealing with any kind of tornado warning right now, but for the next 20 minutes, these are the two areas we're going to have to keep an eye on, one of which is just north of Highway 40, moving into southern Bedford County. Huddleston, do be weather aware, do be in your safe spot right now, because within the next 15 to 20 minutes, this could be moving in your direction. Areas just south of Sidnersville, just south of Sontag, you've got this tornado warning. So again, this is really clipping parts of Franklin County. Now, if you're along Highway 58, areas like Axton or Brosville, this is just north of you, maybe around Cascade, okay, in Pittsylvania County. So we'll keep an eye on that for you as well here for the next 20 minutes or so. But while we're on this view, I like this one because we can actually kind of keep an eye on both storms at the same time. I'll turn on the velocity. And you notice the northern storm towards Smith Mountain Lake is stronger, okay? I'll kind of keep my finger out of the way. Look at where it says SML. You can see that's looking stronger than maybe the one in Martinsville. So we're going to take precedence on that just for the next few minutes while still occasionally checking on the storm that's in Henry County, okay? So let's zoom in to Smith Mountain Lake. We're getting a new scan in there, and you still see the rotation, the green showing more stronger or brighter indications of rotation. So this is West Lake Corner, and this is probably right around Scruggs Road right about now. This is moving to the north and east at 35 miles per hour. Let's see, don't have any updates from the National Weather Service, but it is moving north and east at about 35 miles per hour. So this is staying east of Stanton River High School, and this cone goes a little bit wider just to account for some uncertainty in the storm track. But what we usually see is that these storms, they curve a little bit farther to the right. So I do think this misses downtown Bedford, but Chestnut Fork Road within the next, or Chestnut Fork, excuse me, within the next 20 minutes, right there along Route 24, Gillespie between about 7 a.m. and 7:10. let's see. Okay, so the severe thunderstorm warning was canceled, but that was replaced by the tornado warning. Okay, so just kind of thinking out loud here as I check in with the National Weather Service. One thing that I also want to emphasize to you guys as we continue to track these storms for you. These are not these Great Plains kind of storms, and they rarely are. They rarely are very visual. In fact, they're usually wrapped in rain. There's no confirmation of a tornado, but if there is one, it's going to be wrapped in some heavy rain. We're dealing with some tropical moisture right now. Our storm system is literally going down into the Gulf of Mexico, grabbing that moisture and flinging it in our direction. And so I wouldn't go doing anything silly trying to chase it, trying to take video. If you do get pictures, if you do get video, send those to us on Pin It on our weather app, but only when it's safe to do so. We're not going to go sending you on a mission to go try and find something that's wrapped in rain and that you can't see. But yeah, the northern storm is definitely the stronger one. The more and more that I look at this has a little bit of a weird shape north of Martinsville. You see that little bit of a hook right there. So we'll still have to entertain the possibility of that dropping a weak tornado. But the one that's off toward the north in Smith Mountain Lake at least has more lightning to it. So that's an indication of, again, it's strengthening, it's growing a little bit taller. So that could definitely be one of the stronger storms out of the two. If I were to pick one over the other, it would be that one. So here we are right on the Franklin and Bedford County line. That's where we see the rotation pretty broad, but still nonetheless this storm is spinning. So we'll go down into that one, all right? And this is riding parallel to Highway 24. So here's Westlake Corner. Let me dive in a little bit deeper. I want to see some of these road names here so we can get really specific for you guys. Down to your neighborhood, you're looking at Isle of Pines. That's where this rotation is, very close to you. Capitol Hill Road, you've got Stone Mountain Road, you've got White House Road, so this is very close to you. This is to the east now of Westlake Corner. This looks like it just passed, so there's Scruggs Road, okay? So the rotation now is northeast of Scruggs Road toward Isle Pine, toward Witcher Lane, and there's Smith Mountain Lake Highway, that's 122. So this is moving to the east toward Stone Mountain, toward Capitol Hill, toward White House Road this morning. Time now is 6:45. These warnings each have 15 minutes left to them. National Weather Service, just like I was saying to you guys, the storm over Smith Mountain Lake continues to show rotation. Storm north of Martinsville, broadening and weakening, although out ahead of it, there's more wind shear or changes in the wind. So that's why they're keeping this tornado warning going. Did you have something, Jenna?
We do have Grayson County Schools. I need you to look at this message real quick.
Okay, absolutely.
And then also Grayson County Schools on a 2-hour delay right now. That is the only delay that we have. We've been checking in with Bedford County and also Franklin County to see if there are any school delays, but they have not posted anything, nor have they sent any alerts to our newsroom. So we'll keep checking that. The good news is power outages in Virginia are going down. They're now at 7,400 about, so that is some good news, but most of those in deep Southwest Virginia, as we've been telling you. Franklin County still staying the same, Bedford County staying about the same, so that is some good news.
Also good news, I've been looking at VDOT this entire time trying to check over to see how driving conditions were, and everything is looking pretty good right now so far. Everybody is taking the extra time that they need while they're driving through this situation. So we'll be on this throughout the morning.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things you just need to keep an eye on is the fact that this is really heavy rain. Okay, regardless of if there's a tornado warning or not, we're dealing with tropical moisture, and so that certainly could be potentially causing issues on the road. So thank you both for those reports right there. So the warnings continue until 7 o'clock this morning, one of which is around Smith Mountain Lake. That occasionally shows some signs of stronger rotation. I would anticipate that this would get continued into other parts of Bedford County. If you're around Forest or Timberlake, I would be keeping a close eye on this one as well. Again, Timberlake, we mentioned you in association with a tornado warning, and your mind automatically goes back to 2018. I'm not saying anything right now that looks comparable to that. Again, I know you can be feeling anxious or worried about that, and you have every right to because of what happened 4 years ago, but I don't see anything that's necessarily comparable or synonymous or similar to that. But we'll go back to the velocity scans here. And you see there's still a little bit of broad and weak rotation northeast of Martinsville. Again, city of Martinsville, you're fine. Rocky Mount, these storms are to the east of you, but there you see that blob of rotation in Bedford County. So Franklin County, you're good for right now. There's really no worry about a tornado in Franklin County. This is now on the Bedford County side of things. And we'll zoom in once again to southern Bedford County. I'll try and include more of Bedford County here so we can put another time track on it. You see the lightning out ahead of it. You see the storm relative velocity. This is the air that's going from northeast to southwest and then southwest to northeast. So it does continue to rotate south of Smith Mountain Lake Highway. This is moving at about 35 miles per hour. That was the last update from the National Weather Service. Yeah, so that's moving at 35 miles per hour. We'll take it from the center of rotation and we'll move it off toward the north and east. So if this were to continue on this track, you'd be looking at Chestnut Fork, again, within the next 10 to 15 minutes. You'd be looking at Gillespie within the next 15 to 20 minutes. Areas like Evington and Timberlake between 7:20 and 7:30, and perhaps getting as far east as the Lynchburg airport by about 7:30 or so. And unfortunately, that's pretty much peak commute time just to the south of one of our more significant and more highly populated cities. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that. Doesn't matter how populated a town is. I don't care if it's one person that lives in that town. We would still be doing this kind of continuous coverage. But when it's more densely populated, more densely traveled, that becomes fairly concerning to us when you see some rotation that is moving in that direction. Still no confirmation of a tornado, okay? And one of the things that we can do to at least attempt to confirm that is look at this storm debris, which is not really showing up. Again, that's good news. If you were to see a blue dot that lines up with the center of rotation, then that would be bad news. But thankfully, we're not seeing anything like that. So there's your velocity. And when I plot the storm debris, I'm not seeing anything that really screams out to me. There is some now broad rotation there just to the north of Bedford, but there's also a new warning. It's a severe thunderstorm warning, but they say tornado possible. And so I'm going to back out in a little bit, but they did, National Weather Service continues this tornado warning for this storm I'm tracking right here until 7 a.m. This is near Manita. This is moving to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So I'll go into my settings here and I'll adjust that. So we were originally tracking it at 35 miles per hour. It's now down to about 30. But I do want to go and see where this severe thunderstorm warning is that has just been issued. It's in the yellow. Okay, so this is areas just outside of Danville and areas like Sandy Level, areas like Brosville. So you're on Highway 58. There's Delano's Pizzeria. There's the elementary school. There's the Brosville Station, that really cool shopping center. What is it? The Chatmos Cablevision on Whispering Pines Road. Okay, so you're talking about places like that that need to be looking out to the potential for a rotating thunderstorm. And again, we'll put on the velocity here. We'll go farther to the south and west where this storm is originating. And you see this is quite a ways away. So all those places that I was reading off in western Pittsylvania County, excuse me, you have time. We have time to track this storm, but you're in an environment that's conducive for storms this morning, that's conducive for rotation, right? We've been talking about the past few days east of US 220, east of US 29, and that's what we're seeing out there this morning. So it continues to be some broad rotation in Belews Creek, in Summerfield, North Carolina, heading toward Eden and Reedsville, areas that have gotten hammered by severe weather recently. But that's one place we're going to watch for in western Pittsylvania County, excuse me. The other storms that we're going to watch, okay, we're looking toward northern Henry County. There's a little bit of rotation right there. It does look like a fairly weak storm. And then we're also watching Bedford County. So this is now a few miles north of Smith Mountain Lake. So if you're in Smith Mountain Lake, giving you the all clear for right now, you can come out of your safe spot and continue watching storms to your south and west. But if you're in areas just to the east, of downtown Bedford. That's one area we're going to have to watch out for. So here's 24 areas like Forest and Timberlake. You still have some time before this rotating thunderstorm gets to you. It's 6:52 now. The tornado warning continues for the next 7 minutes or so. And it is just about, let's see, how many miles? It is about 15 miles to the southwest of where you would find Forest and Timberlake. So in about a half hour or so, maybe even a little bit less than that, that's when we would see the center of rotation passing over you. Again, radar indicated rotation, hence the tornado warning that we've had here for the past little bit. Nothing has been confirmed at this time, and I don't expect that we see any kind of debris in this, and we don't. Again, we're looking for a blue dot, a blue ball that coincides with where the center of rotation is, and I'm not seeing that right now. So that's at least some good news, but not enough news to really let our guard down. I haven't had any pictures or videos come in, to my knowledge, that show any kind of... What's that, Jenna?
We just want to... You keep going.
Oh, okay.
This is not that important.
Okay.
But Henry County Public Schools are going to be closed today. Graduation will still take place at Magna Vista High School as scheduled.
Okay, good deal. So, all right, let's kind of go back to these two storms right here. The one that is on the Henry and Franklin County line, it's not showing a ton of rotation, but it is showing, and I'll kind of highlight it for you guys with this little arrow right here. It is showing a little bit of this hook. And this is something that I learned from Chief Meteorologist Jeff Hanowich, that you do see with these storms, you got to keep an eye on these hook shapes, because that's where the air is flowing into it, while the air is also flowing out of it too. So you get the inflow, the outflow, and things like that, and that's an indication of rotation. They did just issue, the National Weather Service again, just issued a new tornado warning now, and this is for Bedford County. So it does include downtown Bedford, but I do think that the core of the rotation is going to stay to the east of you. But there you see this new polygon mentioning all the areas that I told you guys about before. So this is nothing necessarily new, but the warning itself is. This is a tornado warning until 7:30 in the morning. And this is for Bedford, for areas right around Timberlake and Forest, just to the east of Stanton River High. So this is the newest information that we're getting from the National Weather Service. This is a storm that's located near Manita, and this is moving to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and pull up the velocity scan here, and you do still see that sign of rotation that's right about there, right to the south of Stanton River High School, just to the east of Highway 122, getting close to where 122 and 24 intersect with one another to the east of the high school, and that continues to move to the north and east toward US 460. The tornado warning that was previously in effect for areas like Smith Mountain Lake, that has been allowed to expire, but this tornado warning is in effect until 7:30 this morning. We woke up Justin McKee early on his day off. He has come in to assist with this coverage. We've got Marshall Downing, who just showed up. He was here until 11:30 last night. Just goes to show the commitment that the rest of this weather team has. So guys, thank you very much for coming in to help during your time off here. But what we'll go ahead and do is, here's that warning until 7:30 this morning. Justin, while you were coming in, have you seen anything, any kind of reports of damage, or are you just kind of getting caught up this morning?
Nothing I've seen so far, but I will keep up with that for you.
Okay, awesome, good deal. So the warning, Marshall, have you seen anything?
Not yet, but I'll check the weather service.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that. And if you can, just check social media, see if there's any reports or pictures that have come in. I don't have any confirmation right now, but I certainly appreciate that. So here's that tornado warning. Justin, if we could, let's pull up velocity really quick and see where the latest scan is. And so that's Franklin County. Yeah, let's move up to the north and east. So there's your rotation right there. Okay, so this is Highway 122. Here's 24, and there you've got that broad rotation and the tornado warning that Justin just put up until 7:30 in the morning. So we've got another 33 minutes to this. If it were to be canceled early, which both Justin and Marshall are keeping an eye on, we would dump out of coverage and go into the Today Show. But for right now, we're going to stick with you guys. I'm sure there are ways to stream today if you're not under this particular warning. So you do see that the green right here, the air that's going from northeast to southwest is a little bit stronger than the air that's going in from southwest to northeast. So again, just a sign that these storms continue to cycle through and continue to strengthen and weaken at the same through different scans, different updates from the radar. So we'll go ahead and back up the view a little bit, just because I know there's more people watching than those just under the warnings. And so here's your wide view at radar, and you see that there's still plenty of heavy rain in parts of the New River Valley. So it's not to just completely blow you off. You're not looking at severe or damaging weather, which is why we haven't talked a lot about the New River Valley, about downtown Roanoke, or about the Highlands. But right here, you see that line? Okay, this is a line that I watched a couple hours ago. In fact, Jenna was the first one who noticed it, that was blowing in through Russell and Tazewell counties and produced power outages. So while this isn't really tornadic or anything like that, it could produce some power outages in parts of the NRV, parts of the Highlands, and these storms that are warned are certainly capable of doing that as well. Some nasty stuff once again moving into Henry County, and these storms, they are moving over the same area. So another component that we have is the possibility for localized flooding. Let's just say that you're under a tornado warning and a flash flood warning at the same time. What you have to do is determine which of those threats is more immediate to you, and then that's the one that you go off of. So for right now, tornado warnings are in place for a few areas. In fact, Justin, if we could, let's show just the warnings. There should be a graphic that shows just those. So this one for Smith Mountain Lake, that expires within the next 50 seconds. These are the two. This one is going to expire in the next 50 seconds as well. So that's going to leave us with this one that's over Bedford County. So that's going to be the one, as Justin is zooming in right there, until 7:30 this morning. That is the tornado warning that we're going to have to watch a little more closely here throughout the next little bit. The other thing I want to do, and I already have it set, Justin, is that it's moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. If you can just take the storm cone that's in the pallets on the right-hand side, and then move that to the north and east, just to see what towns are going to be impacted. We know that Forest and Timberlake are pretty close by to right here, so you see that that notch right there. So that's moving toward Forest, toward Timberlake here within the next little bit. You've got 460 and 221. Again, this time of morning, we're at about 7 o'clock, and these are pretty frequently traveled roads. So that's kind of a concern for us in between Bedford and Lynchburg. If you can kind of put off the morning commute, whether you're going to or from Lynchburg or Bedford, that would be a good idea. So Jefferson Forest High within the next 20 to 30 minutes. I actually think it could be a little bit sooner than that. So if you're around Jefferson Forest High, Forest or Timberlake, definitely be alert to this storm. Be in your safe spot, that being the lowest part of your home and away from windows. And then you've got the University of Lynchburg right around the College Lake Dam and everything within the next 40 minutes or so, 30 to 40 minutes, and then getting closer to Madison Heights and Amherst. Now, as these storms move from southwest to northeast, they're moving into an environment that's a little less conducive for severe weather. And so that's at least the hope here moving forward, is that these will continue to weaken here. I'm just stepping off screen so we can see if there's any kind of updates from the National Weather Service. They reissued because of, again, high wind shear that's in this environment, which is, again, more conducive to helping these storms spin a little bit. But there's Forest, there's Timberlake. We're actually going to zoom in a little bit more. We'll show the latest velocity scan, which is, again, a little bit broad at the moment. What you're looking for, and we're about to step onto the wall. Thank you, production. There's the green, that's the air that's going from east to west. Here's the red that's going west to east. This is right over Highway 24, Hummingbird Lane, Otter Hill Road. Let's see, that's Old Country Road as well, Highway 43. So these are the areas we'll have to watch out for. There's Falling Creek Road again. And then is that, I just stepped in the way of it, Nicopolis Road? Is that what it looks like, Justin? Yeah, Nicopolis Road, that's just to the northeast of Highway 43. This is where you're going to have to be in your safe spot. Again, there's no confirmation of a tornado, but we would not be doing our job if we just sat here and completely blew it off and waited until there was confirmation. So there's indications of rotation that every now and then they'll strengthen and weaken. And if you're just joining us, what I've been talking about over the past couple of hours as we've tracked these storms is that they strengthen and they weaken. They breathe in and they breathe out. And if you've been watching us for the past 2 hours, you're probably sick of hearing me say that. But that's one of the things that we watch with these storms as they cycle in and out. And you see there at the bottom of your screen, this is parts of Bedford County until 7:30. We got another about 27 minutes to this tornado warning, and this is east of downtown Bedford. So there you have it. Justin's plotting that right there. You see the polygon. In fact, if I were to change this polygon, I would take areas south of 24 out of it. So I'm thinking like areas like Huddleston, you're safe. Moneta, you're safe. It's really areas north of Highway 24 that we see this potential for a tornado to drop. And so what we're doing is looking at different scans on radar, looking at different levels of these scans. And what's happening is this is moving to the east of downtown Bedford. So Forest and Timberlake are two areas that need to be watching. Now, again, Timberlake, you hear that you're under a tornado warning, and I totally get it if you get really anxious because of what happened in 2018. This is not looking like what happened in 2018, and there you go. The adjusted polygon just came out from the National Weather Service, and it basically trimmed it to where areas north of 24. So again, Huddleston, Smith Mountain Lake, Moneta, you're not under this tornado warning anymore.
And I can pass on some information
What's
if you'd
that?
like with the new warning that they just came out with.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
They specifically mentioned Huddleston in the warning. So this storm's moving to the northeast. Again, something that we need to continue to reiterate is the fact that we haven't had anything confirmed as far as a tornado is concerned, but it's a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado. So again, they're specifically mentioning near Huddleston and moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So this is radar indicated rotation, and they're mentioning locations impacted include Bedford, Huddleston, Forest, and Good. And then they also did mention the National D-Day Memorial. So if any of those places sound familiar to you, if you frequent those on your commute into work on this Friday morning, you need to make sure that you are taking a precaution, try to stay safe from this potential rotation.
And Justin brings up a great point with the National D-Day Memorial. Brittany Weir was doing a story on that before we cut in for this coverage. And they're doing a lot of preparations, obviously, with Memorial Day being around. So if anybody's near the National D-Day Memorial, please get into your safe spot and take your severe weather precautions. Justin, if we could, let's zoom in a little bit closer to where that center of rotation is and just see where exactly things are shaping up. So there you have, again, those greens and reds that are going against each other. When we're looking for rotation in these storms, that's what you're looking for. And it's not incredibly strong, I will say that, but it is still evident there that you've got the red. There's your air that's going away from the radar that's located in Floyd County, and then you've got the green that's going toward it. So now this is right between kind of this triangle right here. You've got Joppa Mill Road, you've got Smith Mountain Lake Highway or 122, you've got 43, you've got 24, and the rotation is kind of within that triangle right there. It's moving north of Highway 24. It's moving closer to Highway 43 and then eventually toward 460. So again, these are some frequently traveled roads that we have in Bedford County. So 43, 24, 460, you're going to want to be avoiding those, especially as you go east of Bedford. I know Dickerson Mill Road is in the warning, but the core of rotation is farther to your east. Stanton River High School, you're outside of this core of rotation as well. It's really just kind of broad what you see right there, and that's actually a good point that Justin was bringing there to kind of bring it out a little bit more. So here's the latest as he's tracking it to the north and east. So Good, again, within the next 15 to 20 minutes. You've got Jefferson Forest High probably within the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. And if this were to get into Lynchburg, you'd be looking at that between the next 30 and 45 minutes. But the one thing that you do see is how long that green is. So it goes to show this storm rather, is literally sucking air from miles to the north. So it's really trying to pull air in and get a rotating storm generated. So it's not just when we zoom in, but when you zoom out like Justin just did, you really get to see the whole story, that you get to see that it's pulling in this air from the north. And so you can probably feel it if you're just to the east of Bedford, how this storm is pulling the air in. And it may feel refreshing to you, actually, but just east of Bedford, 460 as you get closer to Forest, 460 and 221. That's where we're going to have to be in our safe spots right now. Justin, if you can, kind of talk about what those safe spots are for those of you who maybe aren't used to this kind of stuff.
I can go ahead and pull that up.
Yeah.
Let's see. So one of the best things that we tell people is obviously get off the roads when these things are happening. Though that's the absolute worst place you can be as a car. And mobile homes and overpasses are also places that we really don't recommend, because those overpasses can actually kind of act as a wind tunnel as these storms are passing over. So if you're watching us on, live streaming in your car or whatever you're doing, good idea to get off the roads. A bad place to be, but better than the car, the mobile home, or the overpass, is open rooms near windows or manufactured homes. And then the best place you can be is an interior room of your house, or also a basement or a cellar, so you're getting on the lowest level of your home and also the place where you're most protected from the debris. So that's kind of just what we recommend if you potentially are under this tornado warning that is in effect right now for Bedford County.
And so that one's in effect until 7:30. I did see that there was a severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for parts of Franklin and Henry counties until 7:45.
Tornado possible.
They
on
did
that
put
one.
tornado possible. Yeah, they've been doing that pretty much all morning because of the amount of wind shear or spin that is in the atmosphere this morning. If we can pull up a wide view of both of those warnings so we can show that, and then just kind of a heads up, we'll go into the rotational aspect of the Bedford County storm. But there you see the Bedford County storm. That's the warning until 7:30. And
Give
then
me
the
1 second on the
Yeah,
other
I
warning.
tinkered with the settings before you got in here. So again, that's just to the east of Bedford, areas like Forest, Good. Those are the areas we'll watch out for. There's the severe thunderstorm warning. That's a big one. So it's not to say that everybody under that is going to get severe weather, but it at least shows that there's the potential for that to happen. So that does, once again, include Martinsville. You've got Chatham. You've got areas on Old Chatham Road. You've also got, once again, Sontag and Sidnersville under a severe thunderstorm warning. And as Justin was just mentioning right there, tornado possible, meaning that there's rotation in the atmosphere, but we're not really seeing it within that storm just yet. That's also something that you see with this severe thunderstorm warning. That's for areas like Brosville. Again, you're talking near the Chatmoss Cablevision, Delano's Pizzeria. You've got Brosville Elementary School there. I think the speed limit changes between 45 and 55, right on 58 there. So that's where you've got severe thunderstorm warnings currently in effect. And Justin is zooming in to see if there's indeed rotation, and if there is, it looks to be pretty broad.
I think,
yeah, for sure. So you got that red that at this vantage point is going away from the radar. You've got the green that's going toward it. So it's very broad rotation, but nonetheless, there's rotation within the atmosphere that if these storms tap into them, this severe thunderstorm warning could become a tornado warning. We've seen that actually happen a couple times this morning. The only tornado warning that we do have is the one that's in Bedford County. Justin's driving traffic or driving radar up to that, and that's in effect until 7:30. So again, if we keep that view right there, there you see that green. That's a long stretch of wind that's going from north to south, and then you've got a little bit of it going from southwest to northeast. So this is kind of what we call inflow dominant. So the storm, the air that's going into the storm, or sorry, outflow dominant. So it's kind of going out from it, is kind of overtaking it, but still there's enough rotation to keep the tornado warning in effect. And there you have it. Justin's drawing right there, right over Highway 43. So right over that highway in Bedford County. This is south of Bedford. So this isn't necessarily as you go toward Montvale or Buchanan, but it's south of Bedford, getting closer to Good, and it's only a few miles from 460. So we're talking areas like Good, and then eventually areas like Forest as well. And if you get a chance, if we can just draw that cone to show
of course.
Estimated time frames Again, if you're just joining us, Justin on his day off coming in, we will come out of a dead sleep. And then Marshall was here until 11:30 or midnight last night, and he's in here as well. So true team effort here at your local weather authority. Appreciate you guys coming in, and I know the folks at home do as well. Jefferson Forest high within the next 20 minutes or so. Then Lynchburg within the next 40 minutes. Is this still moving at 35, right?
That's
35
correct, yeah.
miles per hour, so
Yep.
still moving to the north and east. And Bedford, even though you're under this tornado warning, I'm talking like the town of Bedford near Sewell Cafe, let's think Beals, you guys are out of the tornado, you're out of the path of any rotation. Even though you're under the warning until 7:30, the bulk of the rotation is to your east. So that can also be said for Stanton River High and for downtown Bedford. Most of this is just a few miles to the east, as you see that green right there, indicating the wind that's moving from north to south. What's that?
Did want to mention that the other 2 severe thunderstorm warnings we have in effect are moving a little bit faster, Chris. So
Okay.
you just asked me about whether what the Bedford County storm was doing. 35 miles per hour on that one, but the other ones are 50 and 55 miles per hour. So
Wow.
they are moving a little bit faster. So if you're joining us in those places that just got the warnings issued, that weather could be with you a little bit faster than this Bedford County storm.
Gotcha, and it's a good reminder because, you know, Jenna and Jaffney over the course of the morning have been showing us power outages that happened outside of the viewing area with storms that weren't necessarily severe, but man, they were moving quickly. So
Right.
you could actually see some power outages in parts of Henry, Franklin, Pittsylvania counties this morning. So that's a good point to make. And you also see a lot of lightning with that. So as the air continues to warm, and we were showing you the dew points before, how those were in the upper 60s, ton of moisture and really conducive for these thunderstorms to become strong as Justin pulls out the view here. So just to kind of recap, we've got this tornado warning for another 16 minutes or so. You've got a severe thunderstorm warning until 7:45 for parts of Henry, eastern Franklin, and western Pittsylvania counties. City of Danville not in it just yet, but you do need to be weather aware here for the next little bit as these storms move through about the middle of the day. So areas like Cascade and Axton, areas like Chatmoss, Martinsville getting absolutely poured on right now. And in the booth, if we think of it, if we can pull up any kind of VDOT cameras, if there's any nearby that can kind of show us what's going on, because unfortunately we're having troubles with our Martinsville Skycam, that would certainly help, and I appreciate you guys. But yeah, you've got a ton of lightning, a ton of rain. That's the other thing. If there's anything that's rotating, it's going to be rain wrapped. You're not going to see that funnel that you see out in Kansas or Oklahoma or Texas. It's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be really tough to see. What's up, Justin?
Wanted to pass along Eric Taylor, one of our good meteorologists over at the Blacksburg office of the National Weather Service, specifically mentioning one of the reasons they're keeping with that Bedford County warning is the lightning, and then they also have been talking about how much instability and shear is around. They're continuing to talk about how there's still some spin in the low levels, so that's why they're keeping with this warning, and that's why we're still on air here with the updates for you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. So when we're talking about instability, that's thunderstorm fuel. When we're talking about wind shear, that's changes in the winds. And so those are the two main things that you need in order for severe thunderstorms to develop and to continue. So if we can dive deeper into that
Yeah.
Bedford County storm,
Let's do
just to see how the velocity and the wind shear that you were talking about, how those are looking. So we're taking you into Bedford. Okay. So yeah, right there. You've got a little more rotation showing up. That's around Falling Creek Road. Tornado warning until 7:30. Good Road is right there. There's Jefferson Forest just underneath the banner there. So 460 and 221. So areas like Good Road and also toward Enterprise. There's Beer 88. There's the ice cream shop there that comes up with the really interesting flavors, and I'm forgetting the name of them, but it's right in that complex right there where Beer 88 is. That's one of those places that you'll have to keep an eye on is Enterprise Road, Good Road, and then there's also the rotation there that Justin was just showing you. Looks a little bit tighter to me. Would you guys agree?
I would say that scan looked a little bit more impressive than the previous scans.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So, and this is one of the things that's been happening with these storms is that for a few minutes,
Pulsing.
Yeah, exactly. Pulsing or breathing or whatever you'd like to call it, is that these storms they weaken and they strengthen every so often, which is why we at times sound repetitive. Listen, I get it. We've been at this for about 2 hours now. We're going to repeat ourselves because new people are tuning in and things are changing by the second. But there you have it. As Justin's drawing from the center of rotation, there's your green, there's your red, a little closer together. Okay, so that is some tighter rotation. This is still an indicated tornado warning. This is not necessarily observed, but if we could really quick, could you turn on correlation coefficient?
Sure.
I know we're kind of jumping around here, but I just want to see if there's any indication of debris or damage being wafted into the storm.
Not much.
Not much. Now, this looks a little weird, but it's also not necessarily lined up with the center of rotation. So I'm not overly concerned about that. But this correlation coefficient, it's a fancy term for storm debris or a debris tracker. But nonetheless, 460, 221, areas around Forest. It looks like just to the west of Timberlake, that's where you're going to need to be in your safe spot here for the next, I'd say, 10 to 15 minutes. It looks like we just got a new scan. Let's see if velocity is still as strong as it was.
I do want to go down to that other warning at some point, Chris. But,
yeah,
but
for sure.
Let's look at the velocity first
Okay.
in this one.
Yeah, so that's still quite strong. And again, you're pulling air from a few miles to the north, and then you've got the air that's going the opposite direction. So again, there's your rotation. This is about to cross US 460, and here's Good Road. Okay, so right around there, that's your rotation. So this is maybe a mile from 460, and within the next couple minutes or so is going to cross a very frequently traveled highway in parts of Bedford County. So this is between Bedford, between Lynchburg. Neither of the towns or cities are really under this right now, but you do see new scan just coming in, still some rotation being shown. Okay, so VDOT, what camera is this that we're showing? Okay, so this is cool. 220 near Philpott, so this is Henry County again, just showing how heavy the rain is falling. So that's an area that's under a severe thunderstorm warning this morning with a tornado possible. As Justin and Marshall were mentioning, that it does have some rotation in it, but it has yet to get a tornado warning. But you see that things are falling down pretty heavily. Make sure you maintain a safe distance between you and the car in front of you. And also, please put your headlights on. I was traveling this very road just the other day. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that were driving through a downpour without their headlights on. So please do take that precaution. But Justin, you were talking about you wanted to go to that warning. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so this is the severe thunderstorm warning for Martinsville, as well as parts of the Bedford counties, Franklin, Henry, and Pennsylvania counties. So they put a tornado possible on this. I will tell you, Chris, that the rotation looks a little bit better on radar scope than it does on the actual map that we're showing on TV right now. It looks a little bit more broad, but I just wanted to keep an eye on that just in case they potentially added a tornado warning there. So this storm is moving a little bit faster than the one that is tornado warned. I want to just give you guys the complete information on this one. So this is going to go until 7:45. So the next 25 minutes, it's a really big warning. So you can see that it covers a lot of ground in parts of Southside. And they mentioned specifically that this was located over Fielddale about 10 minutes ago or near Martinsville. And then it is moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. So part of the hazards that they mentioned with this warning is 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then all of this is, of course, radar indicated that we're, using the velocity to figure out just exactly how strong those wind gusts are. And they mentioned Martinsville, Chatham, Gretna, Axton, Pinhook, Spencer, and Callens as the places that could potentially be affected by this warning. And again, I just want to reiterate that there is no tornado warning specifically for this area, but they did include the tornado possible tag. So there could be an upgrade to this if they do find that there's some rotation. And as you've been saying throughout the course of the morning, the atmosphere is juiced for the potential rotation to happen. So we want to make sure that folks down in Southside are also paying attention to this warning, just like we have the warning up in Bedford County right now.
And if you could kind of zoom out to show what's going on in North Carolina, because there's plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings and things of that nature farther to the south. So if you're in Danville or South Boston, it's a very messy kind of look right here, but you do see all those yellow polygons indicating multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in North Carolina. So if you are in Henry, Pennsylvania, Halifax, Campbell, Charlotte counties, we're going to need you to stay weather aware through at least the latter part of the morning. But let's head back up to Bedford County really quickly, because I'm noticing at least on, we have a multitude of different things that we can keep an eye on. One of the apps that we use is showing still that rotation. And one thing that we don't have plotted right here is the lightning count. And there's quite a bit of lightning within this, showing that it's been intensifying at times. The core of the rotation now is to the north of US 460. And so that is at least a little bit of good news for us, as it's near Good, and a new tornado warning now just in until 7:45. This does include the northern part of Bedford County. This includes the city of Lynchburg. So if we can, let's get the Liberty University Skycam ready just in case. It looks like it's going to stay just to the west of that, but I want to have a good visual just in case that rotation gets closer. It's still a few miles away, so we have time to get that ready. But it is for the city of Lynchburg, for the eastern half of Bedford County. So here's 460 and 221. Areas like Forest, Timberlake, you look to be farther south of that. But you've also got western Appomattox County. This does not include the town of Appomattox or the courthouse, but you've also got southern Amherst. So Madison Heights, just south of the town of Amherst, you've got this tornado warning in effect until 7:45 because of the rotation that you see right there. That's to the east of Bedford, about to cross over 221. Justin, if you wouldn't mind reading the verbatim from the Weather Service.
So they mentioned Good, they mentioned near Forest as the places where the severe thunderstorm is specifically located. So this storm is picking up a little bit of speed. It's now moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. We mentioned that the storm had been previously moving at 35 miles per hour. And they are telling us that it's radar indicated rotation. So no tornado is confirmed to be on the ground at this point, but there's enough low level spin in the atmosphere that they did issue a tornado warning for these places, including Lynchburg, as well as parts of Amherst, Appomattox, Bedford, and Campbell counties. And some of the places that they mentioned in the warning include Lynchburg, Forest, Coleman Falls, Madison Heights, Boonesboro, Pleasant View, and Good.
Okay, yeah, so you're talking parts of 29 and 501. If we could, let's go ahead and pull up the Liberty University Skycam just to see what exactly we're looking at. So definitely some gray skies out in the distance there. You see the LU on the hill there. So we're right around Candler's Mountain. So this is right over the football stadium. So you're looking out toward parts of 29, 501. If you were to go that way, you're looking at River Ridge Mall, and then eventually getting back onto 29 to head more toward Boonesboro, as Justin was just saying. So not seeing anything too dramatic right now, but we'll keep that ready just in case.
And they did expire that Bedford County warning, so that one's going to go away. Anybody that lives south of 460, you guys are going to be in the clear, at least from this first warned storm. There could be some more activity moving your way later with the other stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So there you have the rotation, the red and the greens right next to each other. So kind of ignore this polygon. Sometimes when the National Weather Service expires a warning 5 minutes prior to the time it's supposed to expire, the polygons still show up until about 7:30. So we'll just ignore that one. But right around Jefferson Forest High, we've been talking about that all along. Let's zoom in a little bit more so we can get some of these road names out for everybody. So right around Norwood, that's also Castle Lorna Drive around Bellevue. So right on 221, again, just to the west of Jefferson Forest High School. That's where we've got this tornado warning going on right now. Elkton Farm Road, that's where you see the rotation as well. So areas right along 221 and then farther to the north. And as Justin zooms out the view, this is still moving at 35?
It's 40 now.
40 miles per hour?
That's why I was going to put the cone on for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. So right around Jefferson Forest High within the next 2 to 5 minutes. And then areas like just north of downtown Lynchburg, it looks like. That'll be within the next 20 minutes or so. Amherst, if you do see anything out of this, it would be shortly after 8 o'clock, but this tornado warning in effect until 7:45. The other thing I'd like to do is if we can go to reflectivity, see if there's any kind of weirdness or oddities in the shape of this storm. And you do see maybe a little bit of a notch right there. You see just to the west, so just to the west of Jefferson Forest. That's another thing. When you're tracking these storms in Texas, in Oklahoma, and we keep mentioning these states because they're obviously known for tornadoes, you can see these really pronounced hooks. And that's an indication of what's called a low precipitation LP supercell. So you can see those I hate to use this word, these beautiful cones, right? These very defined tornadoes. If there's anything like that going on with this storm, it is wrapped in rain. You're not going to be able to see it. So again, it's not one of those things that you should necessarily be trying to seek out. You should actually be seeking a safe spot as this continues moving north of Highway 221. You've also got 501 right there. So again, here's the Lynchburg Airport. 501, this is going to start to take you toward the Boonesboro area, and also eventually it would take you to Buena Vista, but this storm is going to stay south of that. But so here's Lynchburg. Okay, you go a little bit farther to the west, and this is where we start to talk about River Ridge Mall, and then you start to talk about areas like Boonesboro. So again, these areas should be in your safe spot. There's a lot of neighborhoods around Boonesboro where I know for a fact that they've got interior rooms, and I know they've got lower levels to their homes. So that's exactly where you're going to want to be as the storm gets closer to you. Still a few miles away, but it is moving quickly, as Justin was saying, at about 40 miles per hour.
And you want to pass along, even if it doesn't end up being a tornado spawned out of this. The wind is really strong with these. I could really see it on radar scope, really bright colors showing up on the velocity. So I actually want to pull up the velocity, and maybe even we can get a approximation on just how strong the wind is.
Yeah, so in
Let me
fact,
pull that up.
yeah, are you doing that on max? Okay, cool.
Yeah, 52 miles per hour it says.
Yeah, so, and again, you got to keep in mind that this is, especially since it's so far away from the radar, this is looking probably a few thousand feet up into the storm. So the lower level of the storm could actually be a little bit stronger than that. So you've got probably, I'd estimate, between 50 and 65 mile per hour winds in this latest scan. So as Justin was saying, a great point, regardless of whether or not there's a tornado on the ground, there's some very strong winds associated with it as it's moving now just to the north of US 221. There's 501, so still a few miles away from that, right on the Amherst-Bedford County line. So areas like Coleman Falls and Big Island will need to be looking out for that as well. But yeah, good point, Justin, to bring that up.
Right.
And to keep zooming in if you don't mind. That'd be awesome. So there's some of the stronger wind, southwest to northeast, and then northeast to southwest, just to the north of Norwood. And then there's also some of those road names. It looks like Perroville Road, and then there's also some others that you may have a better time reading than I do on the map there.
Let's see. Casaloma, Crockett Road. We have Syfax, Rory
Quail
Run
Ridge.
Road, Perroville Road.
Yeah, so those are the roads that if you live near or on those roads, you got to be in your safe spot here. The next 15 minutes says tornado warning is in effect until 7:45. If we could, while we're waiting on the latest scan, let's pull up the tornado watch.
Sure.
That's in effect for a bunch of different parts of the area.
We can do that.
And while we do that, I'll explain kind of the difference. So the tornado warning, as you can kind of imagine, the way we've been talking here for the past several minutes and a couple of hours, that's when you get into your safe spot. That's when you put your plan into action, your severe weather plan. But this tornado watch is in effect until 2 p.m., meaning that the conditions or the ingredients are there in order for a tornado or two to happen. So listen carefully in case you haven't seen this yet. If you're just waking up this morning at 7:30, Henry, Pittsylvania, Halifax, Charlotte, Appomattox, Campbell, Lynchburg, Amherst, Bedford counties, you're under this tornado watch until 2 p.m. The only tornado warning that we have is the one that is now moving north of Forest and into parts of Amherst County. So again, Roanoke, Covington, Lexington, Hot Springs, Blacksburg, Pulaski, Wytheville, Giles, you're not under the tornado watch. The severe weather, the damaging weather threat is going to stay east of US 220 throughout the day today. And it's really kind of a morning and midday kind of ordeal that we're looking at, quite frankly. It's kind of opposite of what you would typically expect with storms. But there you have it. Lynchburg, Forest, Madison Heights, Coleman Falls, you're under this tornado warning until 7:45. Was that an adjustment that they just made, or am I just imagining things?
I haven't seen anything new yet.
Okay,
no.
all right, gotcha. So that's been the shape of
I think
the
they just took
the
out
warning.
the Bedford County one.
Gotcha.
The original one.
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah, because now it's 7:31. So
Yeah.
the one that was in effect for Huddleston and Manita and Bedford, that is no longer in effect. So that is expired, but you've got areas just to the north and west of Lynchburg. If we can, let's put on velocity really quick.
Yeah,
I want
of
to see what
course.
the latest scan there is showing. So, alrighty, let's.
Oh, the wind is definitely strong. I
Yeah.
mean, look at how like bright the velocity is there.
Yeah, and I wonder, I don't know if there's some sort of contamination that's going on with radar.
could be,
but
yeah.
Yeah, so it could be one of two things. It could either be that radar's overestimating it, or it could actually be that strong, which then once it gets to that color, it looks like could be 60 to 70 miles per hour. And that's right around Perroville Road, right? Like as Justin was telling you, and Coffee Road as well. There's Old Farm Road. So this is still to the west of downtown Lynchburg. So you're still under this tornado warning for the next 13 minutes or so. But areas around Jefferson Forest High School, you can actually come out from your safe spot. Areas like Forest and Timberlake need not worry about this storm. But Old Syfax Road, there's Coffee Road. That's where the core of this rotation is. So you see that outbound, right? So the red, that's the air that's going away from the radar in Floyd County. The green is the air that's going toward it. So you do see there's still some rotation, still radar indicated, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so there's no confirmation just yet, and it does look as though that one scan was radar contamination, because now
Yeah, it doesn't look as impressive now.
This following scan is really not that bad. So the hope is that as we continue tracking this and it moves farther to the north, that it moves into an environment that's not as conducive for severe weather to happen. What I've been showing you guys over the course of the morning is just how humid it is in Amherst, in Lynchburg, in Bedford, in Southside. You step outside and it kind of feels like a steam bath out there outside of the rain. So these storms, they definitely feed off of that, and Justin's showing that right now. You've got dew points in Lynchburg, in Danville, and South Boston at 67 and 68 degrees, whereas you go farther to the west, and Wytheville, the dew point's down to 52. So things actually feeling nice and refreshing for you in Wytheville or in Lewisburg. So that's good news for you. That means the severe weather threat continues to be low for you. But areas along into the east of US 220 or along into the east of the Blue Ridge Parkway, that's where the air's starting to feel a little soupy. And that's the air that these storms feed off of to potentially become severe. So, Justin, I'll let you take care of it here for the next minute or so.
Yeah, I do want to pass along a little bit of new information that we got from the National Weather Service, and I do want to pop all the warnings back on here. So they did mention that the very big, broad warning that we had been watching in parts of Southside, so that included Bedford, city of Martinsville, Franklin County, Henry County, and Pittsylvania County, all parts of those places canceled that one early. So some of the danger at least coming to an end for parts of Southside. So it's still going to be possible to see some downpours and some lightning associated with the thunderstorms down there. We do have the tornado warning still in effect, though, for parts of the Lynchburg area. That includes the city itself, and then parts of Amherst, Appomattox, Bedford, and Campbell counties. And that is going to go for the next 11 minutes. I would say if we continue to see some rotation on this, Chris, they're going to continue to, extend this warning up to the northeast.
Yeah, I think so as well. And while I get things situated over on this app, yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, if we can, let's turn on correlation coefficient really quickly, because something there doesn't really seem optimistic.
I saw that,
green?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little suspect. I don't want to go ahead and outright confirm that anything's on the ground, but that's a little suspect to me, because that is close to where the core of rotation was. So that is either hail or potentially debris. Okay, I don't want to necessarily confirm right away, because I'm trying to see here what the scans looked like over a few minutes, and that actually may be a little bit of something to keep an eye on. So if we can,
the reflectivity looks a little bit more like hooky to me.
It does?
Yeah.
If we can, let's go ahead and place a call to Bedford County and see if there's any reports of damage. I just want to be absolutely certain. That's the second scan now that's shown up with potentially damage. This is north of Jefferson Forest High. We'll wait to see if the National Weather Service says it's a confirmed or an observed tornado. But this is, when we're looking at this correlation coefficient or this storm debris, when you start to see these kinds of shapes and the green or the blue, that can potentially, and so long as it coincides with the rotation, that could potentially be some debris. If we could, let's pull up reflectivity, because you said that the shape was looking weird,
Yeah,
right?
especially on radar scope, it was looking pretty.
Yeah, so right there.
A little bit.
Yeah, unfortunately,
something.
that is coinciding with where that correlation coefficient or debris, possibly debris, was. So this is north of Jefferson Forest High. This is north of Forest as we're heading into northeastern Bedford County. So we'll await some word from the National Weather Service, but I didn't like what I saw right there. And we did see a little bit of strong rotation prior to that. And eventually this leading to this hook shape again, where you've got the air that's probably going from south to north and then from north to south. So there's definite rotation. This is rain wrapped, but there's at least the possibility that we're seeing a little bit of debris being wafted into this. And again, that showed up on the past 2 updates from radar. So we'll continue to see if that's indeed the case. This is heading toward 501. Let's, if we can, while we kind of catch our bearings, let's bring up Liberty University Skycam. Let's see how things are looking from that view that you guys had. I thought that was perfect because that's in the general direction. And so, okay, we're not really seeing anything, any kind of tornado from that view, but what you do see is a very dark and very murky kind of sky. So that just goes and furthers the point that anything, if it is on the ground, is going to be covered or shrouded by rain. You do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for the city of Danville as well. You go ahead, Justin. Why don't you
I'll zoom out and give you guys a little bit of information there. So if I can get to the right point of the radar so we can get the other tornado warning off. So there we go. So Danville, you guys are included in a severe thunderstorm warning. Also parts of Campbell, Caswell, Halifax, and Rockingham counties. Rockingham counties in North Carolina. They did give a tornado possible tag to this severe thunderstorm warning. And we're mainly watching, I'm going to actually circle this for you so you guys can see exactly what we're, mainly the strongest portion of this storm that just moved into Virginia. They actually had originally, Chris, canceled the warning and then they reissued this warning. So this looks like, as you've been talking about, over and over, the pulsing of these storms. They can weaken for a few minutes and then they can strengthen right back up. So looking at the radar here with the reflectivity, you can see the oranges, the reds on the map indicating that we have some really heavy rain falling, also some lightning. You can see that if you look really closely on the radar there, and they are talking about some radar indicated rotation, at least or at least the potential maybe for some radar indicated rotation for maybe a tornado possible with this warning down there.
And one thing I do want to mention is with the storm that was in Bedford County moving into Amherst, that a buddy of mine actually told me that they stopped Amtrak 176 to let the potential tornado pass. So that's some interesting news along the train tracks there. But again, so there's your severe thunderstorm warning for parts of South Side, as Justin was saying, tornado possible. That's until 8:15. But let's continue going back up toward Bedford. And I want to see if that odd stuff on debris trackers is still showing up, because you do see that little bit of a hook, and you do see that anomaly there. So again, I don't like that. We've never necessarily seen that for the past few updates, past few scans. Waiting to see from the National Weather Service if that indeed was debris, and we have a crew working behind the scenes to make some calls and see if there's anything of concern. Good news is Lynchburg was taken out. You see that? Lynchburg is out of the tornado warning, so Brookville High School, you're good there right along Timberlake. But just on the Amherst-Bedford County line, right along 501, that's where we're seeing some rotation and the possibility, at least, of some debris. This anomaly that you see right here, it can either be hail or some sort of contamination, or it can actually be debris or damage that was wafted into the storm. We're awaiting word from the National Weather Service. Have they said anything about that? If it's
I just sent a message just to see if they're watching this at all.
Awesome, very good. So while I'm just going to update something on social media really quickly, if you and Marshall can take over, and then I'll be right back.
Yeah, let me.
Got a storm report in at this point too from the Weather Service. Heavy rain down along the North Carolina border. This one was located just 4 miles to the east-southeast of Buffalo Ridge in Patrick County. Looking at 3.5 inches of rain as of this morning from a terrain spotter, and so there is some minor stream flooding this morning. That's the only one that we've got right now, but I would expect to see more of those as we go into the next couple hours.
I have one too. We're just getting this in from the town of Bedford. Public Works is currently working to clear roadways of debris, trees, and flash flooding. Our response time to additional inquiries at this time may be delayed, and that's what we're seeing across the board from VDOT. We're seeing a lot lot of road closures because of weather. Trees down, flooding. So keep that in mind. This is a good reminder to say, turn around, don't drown. If you see a flooded roadway, please don't drive through it. And if you know people in these areas that they keep talking about, give them a call. Make sure that they are aware of it. There are downed trees on power lines from the town of Bedford to Big Allen. We're getting that as well. So this is that same area that you guys have been talking about in Bedford.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is the storm that now, as Justin has just highlighted, is right over Highway 501. This is just to the north of Boonesboro. Again, downtown Lynchburg is no longer under this tornado warning, but this is now moving into Amherst County. And so this now does have a history of producing damage. As Jenna was just reading to you from folks at VDOT, that they've got reports of trees down and that they're clearing roads and things of that nature. This storm does have a history of producing damage. Now, as we go through these latest radar scans, you do see that the rotation has broadened, but it's still there, right? One of the things I've been pointing out over the past little bit is how you see how long this airflow is. So the storm is pulling the air into it from miles to the north, and then you've got from the south as well. So you've got this broad rotation, but you do have reports of damage from parts of Bedford County, and there you are right along Highway 501, right on the Bedford and Amherst County line. So that's where you see the bulk of the rotation. It's a little bit tighter right around there. Right on 501. Let's zoom into that really quickly, see if we can read off some town name or some road names. So I'm going to step off. This is just to the east of Coleman Falls, right around Tamer Lane, Holcomb Rock Road. So this is possibly near the James River. Actually, it is. It's very close to the James River. If you
Probably
look just
hop over there.
Yeah. If it's to the south of Elin, which again, not to go bringing up the past and not trying to compare storms, but Elin obviously very sensitive to tornadoes because of what happened a few years ago with that Timberlake storm in 2018. So this is not necessarily synonymous. You really can't compare storms like this, but folks in Elin, you know what to do now. That's what that storm taught you. You know to get in your safe spot, and I would encourage you to do so, but try your best not to panic or get too scared of this storm. Be prepared, not scared. One of the things we all like to say to kind of reiterate the messaging with these storms. But there you see Faulknerville right around 8:04, so probably within the next 20 minutes or so. If this does get to Amherst, it would be probably in a half hour, and then from there going into Nelson County, toward Nelson County High and Livingston, and then eventually Rockfish. So that would probably be another hour or so, but the more immediate is going to be in parts of western Amherst County. So just over 501, there's 130. You've got James River near Holcomb Rock. That's one of the areas to watch out for, as this rotation is still evident. It's still to the north of Lynchburg right now, so that's good for the city of Lynchburg at least. But as far as areas just north of Lynchburg into Amherst County, it looks like just north of Madison Heights as well. So you know how you go over the bridge from the city into Amherst County? There's Madison Heights. It looks like it is gonna be to the farther north of that. Have we seen anything on correlation coefficient that
I
lends
was
us?
just looking at that.
Well, great minds
We
think
do.
alike.
They think alike.
Yeah.
So I did want to let you know that the National Weather Service, they said that they did see that, but they weren't necessarily confident that that was debris.
Okay. Yeah, so they're kind of feeling the same way that we are, that we've seen
We
these.
don't know for sure, but it's something to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's it's good that we're at least seeing the same things that they are. And actually, it looks like the tornado warning just expired. We're going to wait a couple minutes to see if they continue that deeper into Amherst County.
I feel like they have to.
I would imagine
We
that
should
they
stay
would.
on, I think.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So we'll stay on until we get official word from the National Weather Service as to whether or not
I'll pop
they're
that
going
other
to
warning
continue.
up.
Yeah, if you don't mind. So we're going to take a little bit of a drive down south towards Southside, and there you see this pretty big severe thunderstorm warning. Again, tornado possible, just because there's what's called
There's a new
helicity.
warning now. So.
There is a new
Yeah,
warning?
yeah.
Okay, let's go right to that then. So this is for Amherst. This is for areas like Elin. This is until 8:15 in the morning. So we're going to stay with you guys for at least another half hour. And this is north of the city of Lynchburg. So there's 29. there's 130, and there's 5, I believe, Lexington Turnpike, I believe is what that is, Highway 60. So you've got this tornado-warned storm until 8:15 now that's moving into parts of Amherst County. Whether or not it was a tornado, it does have a history of producing damage. Jenna was just talking about in the town of Bedford how they've had multiple reports of damage, right? There were trees down, you were saying?
There are about 1,500 people without power now.
Okay, so if you, in case you missed that, 1,500 people without power in Bedford. Is that the town or the county?
It doesn't say.
Okay, so it doesn't specify, but in the general vicinity of the town of Bedford and Bedford County, we now have reports of more than 1,000 people without power. So this storm does have a history of producing damage in Bedford. It's now moving into Amherst County. This warning is in effect for the town of Amherst, and what you can see is that little bit of an odd shape right here. You kind of see how it makes a little bit of an L or almost a boomerang shape. So what we're going to watch for is if it curves right, which these storms often do. These rotating storms, they often curve a little bit. If that curves right, it would be heading toward Amherst, but also areas like Elin needs to be watching this closely. Livingston, you're not under the warning right now, but as Justin was showing, by around 8:30, 8:45, this particular storm will be getting closer to you. So definitely be thinking about what you would do if you do come under a tornado warning. We did have a report that the Amtrak 176 train was stopped as this storm was moving through. They kind of allowed it to pass through. I don't have an update on that at the moment, but it's just showing some of the precautions that are being taken with this particular storm. Tornado warning in effect until 8:15. How fast is it moving?
So it actually slowed down a little bit, so back down to 35 miles per hour. And I had mentioned east of Big Island, so Big Island not necessarily where the strongest part of the storm is located, but just to the east of there is where we're kind of tracking. I also wanted to talk about how the reason that they continued the warning, we both were kind of saying that we thought that they should, and that's mainly because of the debris tracker we were just showing. They mentioned that as part of the reason they issued the warning mainly for Amherst County, and then also they said the environment. So I think exactly what you were mentioning with how humid it is outside for those places in the Lynchburg area. That's kind of the reason that they have extended this, even though the velocity isn't necessarily looking the best.
Yeah.
It's mainly the fact that we have had some sort of debris signature showing up, even if it isn't necessarily a tornado. Mm-hmm. It just makes sense that they continued this.
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, you were just talking about velocity. If we could get a check on that on this view, just to kind of see how it's looking from a rotational aspect. So right now what you're seeing is the rain, right? We've been talking all along about how this is heavy rain that's associated with this storm, tropical moisture that we're dealing with. And as far as whatever kind of rotation there might be, it's looking pretty broad, okay? So again, once again, you're looking for the greens and the reds that they coincide with one another, and that's probably it. Yeah, so there's the rotation that we're watching right around Highway 130, and it even looks like it's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as not just the rotation within the storm, but how fast the storm is actually moving. So hopefully that's a piece of good news. But I agree with Justin, with the National Weather Service, that if there's a history of damage, the warning has got to be continued. And thankfully they did just that. And the warning is going to continue for about 25 minutes now. So there you have it. There's the red that continues. That's the air going away from the radar in Floyd. The green is the air that's going toward it. Keep in mind that this is a few thousand feet above the surface. So this is we may not be seeing what's going on underneath it. So it's important that you guys, number one, are paying attention to this. But number two, if you do have reports, if you do have pictures, only when it's safe to do so, you can send those our way. So we would certainly appreciate that. I know your neighbors would appreciate that as well, as we try and relay the latest information. Also, if you're in this area, do make sure that you're watching our live stream, which is right now on WSLS.com and on our weather app, as we just got another scan or another update from radar here, still showing that weak rotation that you see there. Pardon me, this is north of Holcomb Rock. So this is north and east of Big Island. This has officially passed Highway 501. There's Justin showing you guys the rotation. I'll step out of the way so you guys can see that in full detail. But there's the rotation that continues to move closer to Amherst. This is still a few miles away from Amherst, so you do have some time to prepare just in case the center of rotation comes over you. But this is unfortunately getting closer to areas like Elin. Again, this is not, it's not to say that we're comparing this to what happened in 2018. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go scaring you guys, but I do want to, in fact, take this time to kind of empower you. If you are in Elin, you know what to do. You've gone through that learning experience. And while this is not nearly the same storm, you at least know what to do now whenever you are under a tornado warning. So put what you've learned into practice and stay with us for updates here over the next several minutes.
And do want to go back down to that severe thunderstorm warning again. We don't want to take away from what's happening up in Amherst County, but the National Weather Service specifically mentioning possible rotation down there,
Sure.
And also potential notching and bowing with that storm. So I wanted to get down there and just give folks that live down that way kind of an update on what's going on with you guys. So you can see the wind's really strong with this storm as it moves in, Chris. And again, tornado possible tag on this. So again, they're watching for the possibility of some rotation embedded in this little line here.
Yeah, and you see that right there. So again, we're repeating ourselves, but we have to, because you see the reds that are going away. You got the green that's going toward the radar. So this is north of Danville. And again, Justin's pointing that out perfectly. So there you see the rotation along Highway 41. This is north of Danville. Okay, so this is north and west of areas like Ringgold, areas like the Danville Airport. This looks like it's just to the north of Tunstall High School, if not very close by, but moving north and away from Tunstall High School. As far as the rotation goes, you still have a lot of rain coming your way. In fact, there we go. We've kind of trimmed back the severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like. But there it is, Chatham. Areas like Gretna, a little bit farther to the north, you're under this severe thunderstorm warning. Areas like South Boston, Turbeville in western Halifax County. So Pittsylvania and Halifax counties, like I was showing before, very, very humid, but you also have this spinning aspect to some of these thunderstorms just north of the city, and that heading in the general direction of Chatham, and it's messy, right? Like Justin was saying, we look for that hook sometimes with these rotating storms, but you see just a whole lot of rain, a lot of lightning, indication that this storm is still ripe, it's still strengthened. The good news that I can pass along for you is that the severe weather threat in Martinsville, in Rocky Mount, in Roanoke, in the New River Valley, in the Highlands, that threat appears to be very low. So that is good news. But areas like Lynchburg and Southside, especially along into the east now of US 29, that's where we have that threat for severe weather, severe thunderstorm warning until 8:15, but also a tornado warning farther to the north. If we can go up toward that, Justin, that's until 8:15 as well. This one, if you're just joining us, does have a history of producing damage. And Jenna, if you don't mind, would you repeat some of those reports that you had from before?
Sure. So Public Works is currently working to clear roadways of debris, trees, and flash flooding. This is in the town of Bedford. That came in at 7:35 this morning. Also seeing power outages, about 1,500 in the town of Bedford and Bedford County. Virginia is now up to more than 10,200 power outages for APCO customers. We did get a significant uptick in Franklin County, more than 1,000 people without power now. That's gone up about 500 people. Henry County has some power outages. Montgomery County has about 700 power outages. Roanoke City, a small number, 37. Roanoke County, about 300 without power. So we are starting to see power outages continue to tick up right now.
Okay, so we did just get a recent warning that was issued. So this is in continuation of the Amherst County warning. So this is into Nelson County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. So this includes all of Nelson and western Albemarle County. So if you do have plans to maybe head toward Afton Mountain, that's often a tricky spot to travel anyways because of the fog. But when you bring in the heavy rain into the equation and the gusty wind, that's going to be a very tricky spot to go traveling there on 64. But also right along 29. So we're really getting into parts of Amherst County now where the tornado warned storm is. So that's your tornado warning until 8:15. But for areas like Nelson County, that's in our viewing area, that's a severe thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock. If we could zoom in and then put on velocity and see just whenever you get a chance. I know you're busy.
I was just trying to pull up the Baltimore, D.C.
Oh,
service because it's a different
weather service office.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. So there you go. You've got.
I have to pop the warning back on there.
No, that's totally fine. So whatever little bit of rotation, let's zoom in a little bit more, and I think that's what we're looking at right there. It's still pretty broad. It's not quite as tight, not quite as strong as it was when it was in Bedford County, but it's still not enough reason for us to go letting down our guards. So there's Lexington Turnpike, Highway 60, whatever you may call it, depends on your location. And there's Amherst. So you see the rotation right there. It's pretty broad. You got the green, you got the red. Now, I don't think we have anything on a debris tracker that shows anything continuing, but we did at one point have something that looked pretty suspect as far as potential debris in Bedford County. But the rotation is still there, which is why the National Weather Service has continued to keep this tornado warning going until 8:15. And so that's going to continue toward, again, Highway 60, areas like Elin. You guys know what to do. You know to be in your safe spot. It's in your lowest part of your house, away from windows and things of that nature. So definitely do what you can to stay safe. I'm looking for some reports from
Talk
viewers.
of potentially some trees down and objects blown over in forests. So if anybody has any sources in forest, we would love to hear what you guys are seeing over there. Do want to mention that we did have a little bit of an update to that warning. So originally this was issued for Bedford County. Bedford County completely taken out of this warning. So this is just for Amherst County at the moment. And this is moving to the northeast. Slowing down a little bit, Chris, so 30 miles per hour now. And again, we still have never seen any kind of confirmed tornado with this, but there's been signs of rotation. There has been signs of at least something showing up on the debris tracker, the correlation coefficient. And we also have had some little notches in the radar that we've been watching, the reflectivity at least. So again, continuing to stay on with this tornado warning that is in effect for the next 17 minutes. It goes until 8:15 this morning, and this is again just for Amherst County, and you can see it doesn't include Amherst itself.
Yeah, and so again, this is one of those things. Justin stated all the reasons that we're staying on air. It's not because we like to hear ourselves talk, not at all.
Certainly
the case.
not.
Certainly not that. I know some of you guys want to be watching the Today Show, but this is just of importance to those of us that live in maybe other parts of the viewing area, and it does have a history of producing damage, which is why we're staying with it. But there you see the little bit of rotation that continues. There's the greens, there's the reds. Those are going opposite from one another. I don't think we have any debris showing up anymore, but
No,
there's
it's
still
not showing up anymore.
Okay, cool. So, this is still radar indicated, but still moving to the northeast, as Justin was saying, at about 30 miles per hour. So Fancy Hill around 8:10. Nelson County High School, so that's Livingston, around 8:30 or so. Rockfish, so you've got Boulder Rock, you've got Devil's Backbone, that the base camp area in the Rockfish Valley. Beautiful part of the area, but you're going to want to keep an eye on this storm because especially between about 8:50 and 9 a.m., you're looking at the potential for this to move through. So still tornado warned for the next 15 minutes or so. We'll see whether or not the National Weather Service decides to continue that or start to trim it back. But I can tell you that especially as you go toward the southwestern part of Bedford County, Amherst County, that things are not looking quite as strong for you. And I do think that most of this stays to the west of downtown Amherst. You can see that rotation right there is going to stay farther to the west. Justin also pulling up the severe thunderstorm warning, pardon me. It's in effect for south side. So this is really the western half of Halifax County. This is parts of Campbell County, especially as you go toward Alta Vista and Hurt. You've got Chatham, you've got Gretna, areas north of Danville. So we'll probably see this get cut a little bit as you've got the strongest part of the storm moving to the north and east. Charlotte County, keep an eye on it, but you're not yet under the warning. This one is also in effect until 8:15. We are seeing a few signs of rotation. Looks to be pretty broad, but that is in areas just north of Danville, right on 29. Again, this is commute time, and a lot of folks are traveling that road, so you may want to avoid areas between Danville and Chatham on 29. Could actually be closer to the tight squeeze area in Pittsylvania County. Justin, you have any updates on this particular storm or anything?
We were kind of talking behind the scenes about stuff up in Forest.
I do
again.
have, I know people are worried about their kids if they're in school in Amherst County,
Yeah.
so we want to tell you about this. They're holding all elementary school bus pickups for an hour, and secondary schools are in shelter in place. So they are in their safe space, as Chris says. And we've been, parents are worried.
Yeah,
They're doing
absolutely.
what they practice.
Yeah, absolutely. You remember as kids when we
Right.
would go through those tornado drills, and so this is exactly why school systems have those drills in place. So it's good to see that they're taking care of that. We knew they would anyways. But looking at the rotation again, there's that broad rotation to the west of Amherst. Here's Highway 60 or Lexington Turnpike. It kind of depends on the area, but there you see it. They're just about to cross that roadway. It looks like that's Lowcastle Road. Or Lowesville Road, excuse me. Buffalo
right, yeah.
Springs Turnpike. So this is all that rotation is moving in your direction. We also start to come into a problem where we're heading into the higher elevations, and in western Amherst County, you may have problems where the radar beam is going to get contaminated by the mountains up there. So it gets a little tougher to read exactly what's going on, but the environment is favorable for severe weather.
And that's probably part of the reason that the National Weather Service in Sterling, Virginia did go ahead and extend out the warning past where the jurisdiction of Blacksburg, they put the
Yeah.
severe thunderstorm warning, and they went ahead and put the tornado possible because, we do have limitations of what we can see with our tools here. So, it's good that they, extended it out and make sure that those people upstream in Nelson County are being aware that, not that anything has been confirmed on the ground, but at least the tornado possible for those areas. And of course, the tornado warning still in effect for Amherst County for the next 13 minutes.
And if we could, let's go to the home view and just kind of reset a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
So we can show.
I'll go ahead and do reflectivity too.
You read my mind again. Appreciate it, man. So yeah, we've got the heavy rain, the severe storms that are now long into the east of US 29. And as we back up the view, you see there's still plenty of rain right along into the east of US 220. So areas like the New River Valley, you're going to see a break in the action this morning. There's going to be more scattered storms that develop late in the afternoon after about 2 or 3 o'clock, but the severe weather threat with those should be fairly low. The main areas of concern, again, Amherst and Nelson counties, really kind of almost riding the Blue Ridge Parkway, in fact. And so a lot of times when you have storms that ride parallel to a mountain chain, not necessarily perpendicular, but parallel, so the complete opposite, they can actually strengthen. I saw this happen in 2011 in Camp Creek, Tennessee, where a storm actually strengthened and spun up because it was riding parallel to the mountain chain. You've also got areas like Pittsylvania County, which studies have shown is actually kind of a severe weather hotbed or tornado hotbed in our area. Within the past 50 to 60 years, I think there have actually been 20 or 21 confirmed tornadoes in Pittsylvania County. So, in fact, Justin pulling up that study right now, done by Reggie Rokes at the National Weather Service in Blacksburg. Pittsylvania County, Campbell County, and Halifax counties kind of tend to be like our mini, I don't want to call it a tornado alley, but they definitely see more of these severe storms in addition to Bedford because of our proximity to the Blue Ridge Parkway. When these storm systems jump the parkway, you can actually get them to stretch and actually strengthen. So
Certainly a misconception that tornadoes cannot happen
Yeah,
here. They
yeah.
definitely can, because you can see on the map there.
Absolutely, yeah. And, even into Amherst, we saw one recently in 2018. Again, not comparing the two, not saying that what's happening right now is exactly similar, but watch this. Stop right there if you don't mind. Look at this bow right there.
Yeah.
When you see that bow, you've got rain-cooled air on the back side of it, and the air rushes toward it. So let me stand on this side. So you've got the rain-cooled air, and it rushes toward the back end. And so it forms this really big bow shape. That's going to be some strong wind that's moving into Halifax County. That's over Chatham right now. There are some signs of embedded rotation within it, but nonetheless, that bow is going to be probably going to be causing some wind damage in parts of Pennsylvania and Halifax counties. But again, just kind of getting back to what we were saying in Amherst County, there is a tornado warning in effect for the next 10 minutes. This does include areas just west of the town of Amherst, but as it rides into some of the higher elevations, the radar image does get contaminated a little bit because the radar beam is actually being scattered around a little bit by some of those mountain chains and
They
everything.
did continue that too, so we'll stay on until 8:15.
Gotcha. Okay. So what was the update on that? Is it still moving at 30 miles per hour?
35 now, so it's kind
35?
of coming up and down.
Yeah, so it's pulsing or cycling through, as Justin and I have been talking about this morning. If you're just joining us, it does have a history of producing damage in Forest and in Bedford. This comes in the form of tree damage. This also comes in the form of power outages. We have seen at least 1,500 power outages reported according to AEP and an update that Jenna brought us just moments ago. But there we have again, a little bit of a bow right there, so an indication of some strong winds and possibly some rotation as well. And so that tornado warning continues for about the next 9 minutes in Amherst County, and severe thunderstorm warning in south side. That's going to continue for the next 15 minutes as well. Rotation looks a lot weaker than it did when it was in Bedford
I don't see
County.
much of anything
Yeah,
anymore.
and again, that could very well be because of where this is
Yeah.
in proximity to the radar itself. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for Nelson County until 9 o'clock this morning, with the potential for tornado. And there you do see, again, the rotation's
really broad.
It's really broad. It's not quite as tight as what it was in Bedford County at one point. But again, what you're looking for is there you have the opposite colors. So the air that's going toward the radar, the air that's going away from it. It's north of Highway 60 in western Amherst County. So there's no reports that this is producing a tornado at this time. Pardon me. This is all radar indicated moving into the northern part of the county. And there you see the county line. So right there, there's Nelson, there's Amherst. And so it's getting close, probably within about 5 miles or so of the county line. But the hope is that as it continues to move to the north and moves into some slightly cooler air, that it'll continue to dissipate. And then once any warnings are expired, we will go off the air.
We have a storm report to pass along. So
Okay.
this was downstream from the same warning we've been talking about for a little while here. So this is over in Bedford County, 2 miles northeast of Good. So this is very close to Forest. We've been kind of talking about these same areas here. So at 7:25, so that was about 40 minutes ago, we had a report of damage to residences, trees, and power lines near Langford Lane, Bethany Church Circle, as well as Crockett Road, and they did estimate that from the radar. So, and that's just all been passed along from law enforcement, and in the Weather Service chat, we can kind of keep up with what the Weather Service is telling us.
Yeah, and so these are actually reports that are filtering into our system. So you see the one that's to the west of Bedford, the one that Justin is talking about is right here. So again, at 7:25, this has a report of damage to residences, trees, power lines in the area of Langford Lane, Bethany Church Circle, Crockett, is right around Good. So if you were watching before, this is the area that was hit. That did have a tornado warning on it at one point. So, and we did actually see some potential debris. Yes.
And there are 500 power outages in that specific region too.
Okay, gotcha. So like specifically around Good.
Around Good,
in
yep.
Bedford County.
In
And-
Brook Hill Wesleyan Church, Forest Road, that area.
Okay, gotcha. So Justin's circling that report right now. If you have our news app, we just pushed out a link to all the power outages. So if you're trying to look out for family in that area, or if you're looking for ways to live stream during this coverage, the app is a great way to go. Our weather app, we automatically push out tornado warnings whenever they are issued. So we've had that going over the course of the morning because we understand that you've got stuff to do. It's 8:10 on a Friday morning, and you need to keep updated. You need to get out on the road. So we got you covered every step of the way. Tornado warning continues for parts of Amherst County for about the next 5 minutes now. And you again see that this is mostly to the north and west of Amherst itself. Madison Heights, you don't have to worry about this either. This looks like the worst of it is moving north and east of Elin. This is north of Highway 60 there, but still lots of heavy rain aligning itself with the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you have plans to travel Afton Mountain, that's a tricky mountain to travel even on a nice day. But with all that heavy rain coming in, you're really going to want to take it very easily there on that part of Interstate 64. So there, tornado warning for 5 minutes now, for the next 5 minutes, according to the National Weather Service. But we do have multiple reports of damage. That rotation continues to look broader and broader to me, so which is good news. When we say broad, that's synonymous with weak. But we do still have storms off toward the south
Yeah,
that
let's
we
go to
need
those.
to keep an eye on. So all of this is coming in from North Carolina. And you do see, again, that bow that we've been talking about. So specifically with this storm, you've got this big bow, but then you've got little parts of rotation within it. So this is right on the Pittsylvania and Halifax County line. You also see that just to the north of Chatham, that you have wide rotation right there. So on the northern end of the bow, which is where we typically see rotation. So it wouldn't completely shock me if we had another tornado warning or two get issued out of this, but at the moment the rotation is pretty broad. But what I do want to show is, because you do see that bow right there, that's an indication of strong winds. So east of US 29, as we've been talking about all along, that's going to be your kind of your hot spot for additional severe weather, probably I would say for the next 2 hours or so. But a severe thunderstorm warning with that for the next 4 minutes, I would anticipate that would get extended for a longer period of time than just that.
Something I want to pass along: if you guys are not seeing rain or any kind of nasty weather yet, and you're included in the warning, just know that the strongest wind and the heaviest rain is really on the front edge of this. So basically, the weather could get kind of nasty for you pretty quickly if you are included in this warning. And again, whenever this does get extended, because we do expect that to happen, we'll certainly let you know what the new polygon will look like. And again, this is for Danville itself, but I think the next update will take Danville out. Still included in this, including Campbell, Halifax, and Pittsylvania counties. So all parts of those places are under the potential for strong winds, heavy downpours, lightning, also tornado possible tag included on this warning.
And if we could, if somebody's in the booth, just kind of listen closely. If you could go to my Facebook page, there is the warning for Amherst and Bedford that automatically posted. There's a picture from Amherst that looks pretty suspect to me. So if we can pull that up on the Skype computer while we've got the next few minutes, I would certainly appreciate that. It's I'd be better off showing it to you, but Jesse out of Forest sent that to me, Jesse Howard, so appreciate that. So we'll get that here in just a little bit. And as Justin was saying, okay, so let's go to, there it is. That's the picture I'm talking about. That looks pretty suspect to me. I would imagine that's at the very least a wall cloud, right? So you see maybe even a little bit of a funnel right there where the clouds are lowering. So this was in Forest at the time of the warning. Thanks again to Jesse Howard for sending this picture to us. This was on Facebook, and you do see what looks to be at least some lowering in the clouds. Now, I can't go ahead and say, oh yeah, that's a tornado, because all these houses and trees are in the way. Remember, a funnel is something that's rotating but hasn't yet touched the ground. A tornado is something that has touched the ground. So, yeah, but that looks awfully suspect to me. And that was taken, again, moments ago. This is not live, but this was a picture that Jesse had sent to me. Let me see when he sent that. He's 10 minutes ago, yeah. So at about 8:02. So it was probably taken after the storm had passed through. But again, goes to show that there was indeed rotation, because that looks like at the very least a wall cloud, which is a rotating part of a supercell thunderstorm. But this tornado warning continues for another minute or so in the Amherst County and Nelson County. Well, not Nelson County area, but right there around Amherst County. And you see that the rotation now is much, much broader than it was. So we've got another 30 seconds to this tornado warning. And if it does indeed expire, then we will go back into the Today Show and have updates for you, as we regularly do during the Today Show. But this storm has had a history of producing damage. It did look pretty suspect from that picture that we got. And Justin, you have something?
Two things I want to say.
Yes.
So first of all, we really appreciate Jesse for sending that photo in. Be very careful if you're taking any photos and sending them to us. I know it's cool to see yourself on TV, see your picture on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you're being safe as you do so. Also, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. As we were saying, we thought that this was going to get extended, and it really did. And it's such a wide area that's included in this, Chris. You can see Lynchburg included, and it looks like just a little portion of Lynchburg. It's not the entire city itself.
Yeah.
Also, parts of Campbell, Charlotte, Halifax, Pennsylvania counties included in this warning. And this goes until 9 a.m., so the next 45 minutes. They did include a tornado possible tag on that, and also the possibility for 60-mile-per-hour winds. Could see some really heavy downpours included with that, and also some lightning.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the time now is.
Storm's moving really fast too, 50 miles per hour.
Yeah, and it's interesting how those storms in south side have been moving faster than the ones farther to the north, but I guess just kind of feeding off of that warmer air. Listen, so the time now is about 8:16. We don't have any word as to whether or not this other tornado warning is going to be extended. So with that said, let's get ready to throw things back to regular programming, and then if any other tornado warnings are issued, myself, Marshall, and Justin will be with you every step of the way. Make sure that you have your local weather authority app downloaded in case those warnings are issued. I know a lot of you guys are trying to go to work right now, so we will definitely keep you posted on that. You will get alerts sent straight to your phone. Time now 8:16. Thank you again for joining us. Stay safe, stay weather aware, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.